The power of the sea exists within me. Its pulse won't stop and fills every drop. Like waves, we all move. Here and there a crash, occasionally calm, and then in a flash we seem yet alone, and it's a curious thing, but connection's still there, as together we'll sing a symphony of sea. Why should I worry about storms or a flurry when I'm the very hands that built up the lands? Don't call me a story, I'm the infinite glory, and as real as it seems, these are merely my dreams. No need to look to the one when we
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How's it going? Good to see you. Even though I can't really see you, it's still good to see you. I appreciate you being here. We're finally here after a baseball season that is much too long, in my opinion. I like baseball, but you know what? There are just too many games in the season. 120 games would be fine, but I'd be even happy with 100. 100 games in a season. What do you guys and gals think about that? What's your opinion? I think I'm actually going to put that in a poll. There we go. They got a lot of lights going on right now. They're still talking about Cal Raleigh. Yes, Cal Raleigh is great, but there are two teams in the ALCS. I'd like to hear about the teams instead of one player over and over and over again. That would be nice. How many people do we have in the following along right now? Yeah, it's very early on. It's only five. Yo, 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 Casey. Made it to another one. Welcome in. Good to see you. Oh, I just heard my hot water is ready. Let me go grab that so I can get myself another hot cup of coffee. Just just a moment. Hey JD, good to see you too. I appreciate it. It feels like forever when I just take one day off, because when the game finishes for me, usually it's around noon. And of course, the last game we had was the extra innings game, and I wasn't able to go to the end. So I apologize for that. But honestly, I just couldn't leave my friend waiting for me. He had a couple of suitcases. He came all the way here from Australia, and I didn't want to leave him just sitting near the station waiting on me. There was a festival going on in the city, and he was just kind of sitting there watching people go by as I was watching the innings go by in the Tigers Mariners game. And finally, I just decided I needed to go. So sorry that I had to bail early, but priorities. But I'm back today. My friend's actually here. He's outside doing some stuff in the yard. He might be coming in. I have an extra chair over here. He might be coming in to say hello at some point. I told him he was welcome to come in. But right now, we've got Kevin Gausman on the mound right now. First pitch of this ALCS series is about to come in. Randy Arozarena at the plate, of course, to lead it off for the Mariners. Here's the toss. Low and outside, 96-mile-per-hour fastball, ball one. Casey says, not sure who to root for after beating the Yankees. I'm leaning Blue Jays. Me too. I guess either way is okay. It's okay. I don't really have a dog in the race. You know what I'm saying? Astros are out, so all I can do is wish all the teams the best. The Cubs lost to the Brewers, which is what I was expecting and hoping for, and that's good. So they are out. Now the Brewers just need to knock the Dodgers out. Low and outside, 3 straight balls from Gosman. Rosarena has no good pitches so far to swing at. JD says your Texans play my Seahawks next week, and I admit I'm nervous about that one. Well, JD, from what I can see, the Seahawks did a really good job earlier, right? They had a really good game this weekend. Should be a good matchup. Looking forward to it. Monday Night Football, right? All right, so Gosman comes back with a strike in the zone, and then the next pitch fouled off. So now it's a full count. Hey, Dale, good to see you. Congratulations on the Mariners pulling out a win in 15 innings. That was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Here's a pitch, the 3-2, 96 fouled off at the plate. Jay says, I'm rooting for Mariners Brewers so we can get a guaranteed new champion. That's one way to look at it. If you have the Brewers and the Mariners, then somebody's got to break that curse. Here comes the 3-2 pitch again. This is grounded up the middle. It's going to be backhanded by Clement, and he fires over to first base to get the out. One up and one down. But Rosarena actually has a pretty good at bat, making Gosman toss about 8 pitches. Well, Jay, the sake festival, it was ungodly busy. The whole city was packed. People from all over Japan come to that festival. Oh, that's hit hard out to right field. The very first pitch, Raleigh's got a single, and he's on first base. So runner on in the first inning with 1 out. The big dumper puts a little single, puts a little hitter out into right field. But I didn't actually get to do anything because Glenn had a lot of luggage, or he had his luggage. There wasn't really anywhere to park, and since he had waited so long, we just went to get something to eat, did a little shopping, and then came back here before it got too late. So I didn't actually get to go around and get anything. But the good thing is, all of the sake and all of that, the food and the stuff that they sell during the festival, you can actually get that anytime in Sideshow. So I'll go back and pick something up later on. That's fouled off. It's 0-2 to Rodriguez. J-Rod at the plate, batting 174 in the postseason. That's not very good. Here comes the 0-2 pitch from Gosman. Low and inside on that splitter, and he fouled it off. Julio Rodriguez. He was really hot going into the last couple of months, but he has cooled off a lot in the postseason. Here is the 0-2 pitch again. That's lined into center field. That'll be a hit. Cal Raleigh is being waved around to third. So the big dumper is able to run around to third base. Runners on the corners for Seattle in the first inning. Center cut fastball, probably trying to go high with it and just missed his mark. Happy Monday, Daniel. Daniel comes back to advertise his channel by saying hello. Jorge Polanco is at the plate. First pitch from Gosman. This is bounced to the left side. They go home to get Raleigh easily. I don't know what Raleigh was thinking on that. He's not a speed demon. There's a bouncer over to third base to Barger. He goes straight home to gun down Raleigh easily. Not a very smart play, sending a somewhat slow player. It was close. The tag didn't get there in time. Yeah, he just barely got him. First pitch to Josh Naylor is low for ball one. You can see right here that that was very, very close. He might have been safe because the tag wasn't good, but it was there in plenty of time. Low and inside. Runners on first and second with 2 outs. The Mariners decide not to challenge that call, which is strange. They've got 2 challenges. Could have used one right there. Might have been able to get it. Here's the pitch. This is hit hard into center field, but high. And it's going to be an easy play for Vachaud. But Raleigh gets thrown out at home. No challenge by the Mariners. And the Naylor flies out to end the inning, stranding 2 runners. No harm, no foul done in the first, despite a couple of hits and a fielder's choice. 2 hits for the Mariners, no runs. The Blue Jays will be up in just a moment. Dodged at least 1 run scored there. George Springer, the first batter, due up. Nathan Lukes on deck, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the hole. I can go ahead and pour myself a second cup of hot coffee. I hope everyone's doing all right today. How many people do we have in right now? At about 16, very low numbers right now. I think normally we would be up to about 30 at this time, maybe in the middle of the game, around 50 to 60 towards the end of the game, maybe 80 to 85 for these particular playoff games. Very low numbers. It's interesting how much of a hit my channel takes transitioning from Astros games to MLB playoff games. And my Texans games haven't started to take off yet. And of course, the Rockets games are coming up soon. Let's see here. NBA schedule. Houston. There are a few games going on right now, I see. Houston doesn't play again anytime soon. They don't play again until the 16th. 3 more days, or 4 days from now. Yeah, JD, I'm with you on that. If I'm the coach, I challenge that for sure. I mean, I know it was close, but it looked like they could have gotten it. It would have been worth it, I think. Bryce Miller is on the mound for the Mariners today. He's going to be facing George Springer to lead it off. 90 and a third innings with a 5.68 ERA, a 4.6 record. That's not stellar. His ERA is closer to 6 than it is to 5. Pretty interesting. Interesting choice. Let's see how the Blue Jays hit this guy today. Here's the first pitch. 97 hit hard. That's gone. That's gone on the very first pitch. George Springer, home run to right field. Solo shot right off the bat. There you go. Houston Astro power. Go Stros? Maybe. George Springer, 385 feet, 109 miles an hour. The very first pitch off Bryce Miller, right field, opposite field, home run. And he puts on the ridiculous jacket and celebrates in the dugout. Wow. One pitch from Miller, and the Blue Jays are up 1-0. Nathan Luke's at the plate. Here comes the toss. Ooh, he could have swung at that one. 97 miles an hour in the top of the zone, strike one. First leadoff home run in franchise postseason history. Interesting. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. That's high, 97 miles an hour. Ball one, the count's even. Wow. Got about 17. Slowly creeping up, creeping up. Make sure you hit the like button. The more likes we have, the more people we can get in here to enjoy this live stream. 96 above the zone again, and he swung at that. Why'd you swing at that? That was not a good pitch to be swinging at. 3 straight high fastballs to Lucas. Here's the pitch. Another high fastball. He fouls it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. In the dirt and inside. Did they get his foot? Almost. 2-2 is the count. Jay says, how do you give Springer a fastball? Smacking my head. Right off the bat, he was camping on it. He was ready for it, too. Here's a 2-2 to Lucas. 97 again. Fouled off. Lucas has had a pretty good postseason. He's batting .333. Springer actually hasn't been batting very well overall in the postseason. This postseason. This is fouled off again and out of play. According to the stats, the Blue Jays have scored first, in the first inning rather, 4 of 5 games. So they are getting on it early. Whether or not they sustain, I mean, they usually do that. They have been doing that, but they haven't done it in every game. Here comes the next pitch. Fouls it off again. He's just throwing fastballs to Nathan Lucas over and over and over, and he has been fouling them off like crazy. Here comes the 2-2 pitch again. In the dirt, 3-2. Ten pitches coming up to Nathan Lucas. He grounds it off of his foot. Oh, that's the home run pitch to Springer. Over the bullpen. 97-mile-per-hour pitch on that outside edge. They are still looking at Nathan Lucas's foot. Oh, he hit it off the knee, apparently. Not his foot, his knee. Look at this. Yeah, right off his front right knee. Ouch. Yeah, he immediately fell down after that. That had to hurt. Right off the kneecap. Yeah, they're talking about his career, this guy, Nathan Lucas. He's the one that spent 10 years in the minor leagues, worked his butt off, went through a couple of organizations trying to get himself solidified in the majors, finally got his opportunity, came in with the Blue Jays, and has been performing really well. And he's staying in the game finally. They worked with him for a long time. He's obviously still in pain, but he's staying in the game. He says he's not coming out. And that ball came right down on his kneecap. That had to have hurt. 3 balls and 2 strikes is the count with no outs. Blue Jays with 1 run off 1 hit from George Springer. What will Bryce Miller do with Nathan Lucas right here? Here comes the pitch. He fouls it off again. 97 miles an hour in the top of the zone. Same thing. Bryce Miller just keeps throwing fastballs over and over and over and over. Out of 10 pitches, only 3 have been a pitch other than a fastball. 96 outside, he walks, and the crowd gives him a standing ovation. So 12 pitches to Nathan Lucas. And Lucas walks. So leadoff home run, followed by a 12-pitch walk. And now Vladimir Guerrero Jr., very dangerous batter, is at the plate. 97 outside, ball 1. My coffee is ready. Yes, good stuff right there. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Runner on first, no outs. That's in the low inside part of the zone. Barely gets that strike. 1-1. This crowd is pretty hyped up right now. I don't think we're going to see any fans crying in Toronto. What do you think? We might. It is Canada. But we'll see. That was a 1-1 pitch. It's hit hard to left field, and it's going to be taken in by J-Rod. He floats over from center field to grab it. And that's out number 1. That was a really hard line drive to left center. That brings up Barger, the one who threw out Cal Raleigh at home plate in the top of the first. 1 out, runner on first. Here's the toss. Barger gets that one in the dirt. He takes it for ball 1. Knuckle curve. Are we up to 1,000 viewers yet? 23. We got a ways to go. Maybe I need to be a little crazier on my stream to get more viewers. What do I need to do? What kind of gimmick do I need to do here? Here's the pitch. Well, my current viewers is not working. What is going on with that? Let me get to my script. There it is. Now it's working. 23 people. I don't know why. I thought I ran it earlier. I guess I didn't. 2-0 is the count. Here's the pitch. High and outside. 3-0. Miller might walk another guy. If he walks this guy, we might see some bullpen action. Alejandro Kirk, I believe, is up next. Captain Kirk, James T. Alejandro Kirk. That's in there. 96 miles an hour. Finally throws him a strike. 3-1. Let's go, Strohs. Nani? Nathan Lucas on first base. 1 out. 3-1 count against Addison Barger. That's outside. That's a walk. Ball 4. 2 walks in this inning. So a solo home run on the very first pitch, followed by a 12-pitch walk, then a line drive out to left center, and then another walk. That is Bryce Miller's record so far in this game. Alejandro Kirk comes to the plate. How tall is he? He's actually not too short. He's 173 centimeters tall. He looks a lot shorter. Doesn't he look a lot shorter? Maybe it's because of his body type. He's got the dad bod. 173 centimeters. That's 5'8". I mean, he's shorter than average height. I think average height in America is 5'9", right? If I'm not mistaken. So he is slightly shorter than average height. But on camera, he looks like he's Altuve size, just thicker. Here comes the next pitch. In the dirt. Ball 1, another ball. Jay, which Texans game are you talking about? There was no Texans game today. Texans are playing Monday Night Football next week, but they have a bye this week. So there was no game for me to do. But I will be doing the Texans game next week. I did the one last week. Here's the pitch to Alejandro Kirk. 96 right in there, fouled off. Miller throws a lot of fastballs. Oh, yeah, he's 245 pounds. 5'8" and 245 pounds. That's way too much for me, and I'm 6'2". Here's a 1-1 pitch. Way high. Ball 2. Bryce Miller getting a workout this inning. He's up to 24 pitches. Still trying to find his second out. He's got 2 runners on, first and second. Let's see if the Blue Jays can muster up some more runs here in the bottom of the first and pull away from the Mariners. Miller steps off the rubber. Did all of you guys and gals watch football today? Here's the pitch. That's hit hard to right field, but fouled off into the crowd. The count's now 2-2. How many votes do we have on the poll? Got about 10 votes. I think that's enough. We don't have too many people watching, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll in just a minute. I've got a poll up right now that asks how many games in an MLB season would be optimal. It looks like I made a typo there. I left out B. Would be optimal. Sorry about that. It looks like most of you are saying as is good. 30% say 140. I think there are way too many games, so I think it should be about 100. I'd be happy with 120, but I think 100 would be good too. This is a fly ball to center field. Polanco floats out and gets it. The runners stay at first and second. Out number 2. I'm surprised, though, that, it's only 10 votes. I'm kind of surprised though that 40% of you think that playing 162 games in a year is good. I think that's way too much. Dalton Varsho is at the plate to face Kirk. I'm sorry, Miller. Kirk is down. That's hit out into left center field, pretty deep, but J-Rod floats back and gets it, and that's out number 3. So the Blue Jays do get the leadoff home run from George Springer, and it's 1-0 Blue Jays. But the Blue Jays do something similar to the Mariners. They get a couple of guys on base and then strand them. So the Blue Jays actually have 5 lobsters already in just the first inning. Mariners have 4. So both teams are actually doing a really bad job driving in their base runners. Kevin Gausman is up to 16 pitches. He'll be back on the mound in just a moment to face Eugenio Suarez, Dominic Canzone, and then Victor Robles. Not all at the same time, though. Let's go and end that poll right there. I'm kind of surprised. Kind of surprised. But then again, once again, just 10 people voting. Not too definitive. If I had at least 100 people, that would make a lot more sense. That would be a better representation of the majority, right? Let's see here. Remember. Light version. Reprise. Let me turn this on right quick. I wrote another song last night. I woke up around 3 a.m. While we're on commercial break right now, I can share a little bit of it. You guys can hear it. I wrote these lyrics last night around 3 o'clock and then turned it into a song with the AI tools. Sydney Lauderby.
We'll be able to move on to a radiant dawn in heaven with God and his wondrous things.
Good to have you, Sydney. How's the weather over there? Is it raining today? I remember when I went to England for a trip in high school. The tour guy said it was the best weather out of any tour group he ever had. And the whole time it was drizzling, light drizzle. And we laughed, but he said, "I'm being serious." Pretty interesting. I'd like to go back one day. We got to visit Canterbury and a few places in London, but that was pretty much it. All right, looks like we are back. Suarez is at the plate. 94-mile-per-hour fastball. Oh, and 1 is the count. Next pitch from Gausman coming in just a moment. Swing and a miss. Suarez has been striking out a lot in the postseason. His batting average is hideous. It's not even 100. It's .095. Here's the pitch. He makes good of that one, but it's right to the left fielder. He made some nice solid contact with it, but not hard enough. 1 down. Sydney says driest year in, wow, at least 20 years. Really? That's crazy. I wonder what that's like to be in England during the driest year in 20 years. Probably still wetter than a lot of places. Dominic Canzone is up next for the Mariners. He swings and misses. I have a question about Kevin Gausman, though. if one of his teammates gets cut and needs to be wrapped up, do they call Kevin Gosman? Just a question. I'm just asking a question. A little low for ball one. The count's even with one out. One ball, one strike, one out. Here comes the next pitch. Another swing and a miss. 96 in the top of the zone. One ball and two strikes. Jay says, I'm a Chargers fan, so I watched the Chargers. I hope so. If you're a Chargers fan, I hope you did watch the Chargers. Here's the pitch. Check swing in the dirt. Did he go? No, they say he didn't. 2-2. That split finger was pretty nasty. He almost went around. He almost went golfing for it, digging in the sand trap. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the toss. Nice pitch. Oh, he called it a ball. Low and outside on that outside corner, and he didn't give it to him. But look how close this was. Woo! Full count. Here comes the toss to Canzone. That's in there. Bottom of the zone. Struck him out. Got him looking. He got greedy. He got lucky on that last pitch, and he decided to take it again. Wrong call. 2 up and 2 down. Yeah, you got to swing at that. That's clearly a strike. Right across the bottom of the thighs. Head, shoulder, knees, and thighs. That ball was across the top of the thighs. Head, shoulders, knees, and thighs. I'm ridiculous. First pitch to Robles. Victor Robles at the plate. 2 for 14 in the postseason. Batting 143. Here's the second pitch. Nice curve. They're calling that a slider. It looked like a curve. Man, that was a big drop for a slider. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here comes the next pitch. This is bounced foul down the third base side. The count's 1-2. 2 outs, nobody on. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 strike away from finishing this inning and moving on to the bottom of the second. The crowd is on their feet, waving their towels around with a towel that says, "Want it all." Want it all, Precious. Want it all, Precious. Precious. There's the toss. Ooh, rung him up 85 miles per hour, upper outer corner. Looked like a slider. Could have gone either way. Gosman gets the strikeout against Robles, and that's it for the Mariners. Nothing doing in that inning. 3 up and 3 down. Bryce Miller will be back in just a moment. Up on the rubber for the Mariners. 2 hits for Seattle. Or is it Soyattle? But I think Dell, was it Dell that pointed this out the other day? Dell, you can tell me if it was you or not. But I think it might have been you that said not everybody in Seattle is soy. Or maybe it wasn't Dell. Maybe it was somebody else. One of my other subscribers. But the Blue Jays have 1 hit, and that hit is a big one. A dinger from Springer. Opposite field, very first hit of the game, and that's the score right now. The sum of the score, 1-0. You know what's interesting is that the Houston Texans, their offense has finally kicked it in the past couple of weeks. Defense is still stellar. But the LSU Tigers, I didn't get to watch their game. But I got to look at the highlights, and what I saw was the same old, same old. Amazing defense and lethargic, weak sauce offense. I'm just I'm not a fan of Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback of LSU. Right now, the Tigers are ranked number 11. I don't know what they're going to be ranked after this game with South Carolina. Even though they won, it just wasn't convincing to me. They scored just 20 points. They had a couple of turnovers. I think Nussmeier had 2 interceptions, and they had a fumble right at the goal line, like less than an inch from the goal line. They should have had like 30, 32, 35 points in that game, and they only wound up with 20. And it wasn't until the very end of the game where they were able to kick a field goal and make it a 2-score game and lock it down. But they shouldn't have struggled that hard against South Carolina. So their offense is just ridiculous, in my opinion. Hey, Brendan. Brendan says, good to see you, by the way. Brendan asks, how was the festival? How was your festival the other day? You know, I didn't get to hang around and do anything. Like I mentioned earlier to another subscriber, I didn't want to make Glenn hang around there. He had a couple of bags and stuff, and it was so packed. Clement is at the plate, takes that first pitch for strike 1. He's batting .277 for the season, but postseason is insane, 643. Here comes the next pitch. High and inside, he fouls it straight up. Is it going to be playable? Looks like it is. Yep. Caught by Raleigh just a couple of feet away from the plate. Easy out for the Mariners. 1 up and 1 down. That's a big out. Clement with a 1.554 OPS. That's going to bring it down a little bit. I appreciate that, Jay. I guess you're a Lakers fan. But let me ask you this, Jay, if you don't mind. What do you think about LeBron's son, Bronny? I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Bronny. But Brendan, I really wanted to check out the festival. That's hit into right field by Santander, and it gets by Robles. Santander is going to roll into second base. That's an error. So it was a single and a second base achieved by Anthony Santander because of Robles missing the ball. I'll show you the replay right here. Take a look at this. Look at that. Look at that. He still had his card in his mouth. You see that? The card that gives you information about the batters, he had that in his mouth. He was still probably looking at that whenever the ball was hit out there. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't focused. Wow. What in the world was Robles doing? Where are you, bro? This is the playoffs, man. You can't be doing that stuff in the ALCS. Strike 1 to Andres Jimenez. He's at the plate for the first time, facing Miller. Here's the toss. I said high in the air. Another infield fly. This is called by Polanco, who takes it. 2 down with a runner on second. And back comes George Springer. He's only had 1 at bat with 1 swing and 1 home run. Another opportunity here with a runner in scoring position to do something for the Blue Jays. If he has a hot game today, I think that the Seattle Mariners are done. But, yeah, Brendan, I didn't get to wander around the festival, but it was so packed. There was really nowhere convenient to park. And I didn't want to make Glenn wait any longer. So we just went to eat somewhere else. 89 miles an hour in the bottom of the zone. Strike 1 to Springer. That's his first leadoff homer in an ALCS since 2020. Here's 0-1 pitch. That's a ground ball to shortstop, picked up by J.P. Crawford, and he actually makes the throw over there. For out number 3. That's it. So the Blue Jays get a single, which is stretched into a double due to Robles' error out in right field. But a couple of flyouts and a ground out get them out of the inning. So we're finished with 2 innings here in Toronto, 2 hits for each team, and it's 1-0 Blue Jays. JP Crawford is due up next to face Gosman, followed by Randy Rosarena and Cal Raleigh. Let's see here. Jay says Bronny gets a lot of hate, but I'm rooting for the kid. Well, I don't wish anyone to do badly unless you're talking about a team. If it's the Dodgers, I want them to do badly. The Cubs, I want them to do badly. In the NBA, I'm not a fan of the Lakers. I will say that I'm not a fan of the Lakers, but it doesn't have anything to do with the team. It doesn't have anything to do with that sort of thing. I don't like LeBron James. I think that he will never be half the man that Michael Jordan was on or off the court. He says too many ignorant things. He speaks about things he doesn't know anything about. And I believe he's one of those closet racist guys. But I will say this about Bronny. Bronny demonstrates a severe lack of talent when it comes to playing in the NBA. I don't understand why he's even on the court, to be honest. He needs to be playing somewhere else. He needs to be in some capacity where he's learning to be a smarter player and more fundamentals. He just, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and I know a lot of people agree with me, but I will tell you this: the hate that he's getting is a lot higher than what I'm going to give him. I won't give him any hate, but I will say plainly that he's absolutely in over his head right now. Even as a basketball player myself, I had the opportunity to play college ball. I was offered a scholarship, and I turned it down. I don't want to do that with my life. So I know a good amount about basketball, and I was a ball handler, you know? So when I see Bronny making the kind of boo-boos that he makes, it just makes me shake my head. Why is he in the NBA? I don't know. It's got to be mostly because of who he's related to. Just ignore the spam. The MLB games live stream that's in the chat, spamming the chat with that garbage. Just ignore that. That's a scammer. JP Crawford grounds it. Did I say grinds it? He grounds it over to second base to Clement. Clement fires it over to first for out number one. 1 up and 1 down. Crawford goes down. Randy Rosarena is coming up next. Brendan thinks the Rockets will beat the Lakers because the Rockets are too loaded. And it looks like the Rockets also have some other guys coming on that they didn't have high expectations for, but they're playing above and beyond, right, Brendan? If I'm not mistaken. If I am not mistaken, the first pitch is a ball to Rosarena. Here comes the next toss from Gosman. He's up to 32 pitches. Here's the 33rd. 85 in the bottom of the zone. Slider, strike one. Brendan, I will let you know that I plan to buy what they call medicinal sake. I plan to find some of that and buy it for myself. And when I do, I will let you guys know. I'll show it to you. I also have to go to a cafe because one of my donors wanted me to go to a particular cafe and order this nasty sandwich. So I've got to do that. I told him if he'd donate, I would go get it. This is a pop up over on the right side, and that's put away by Guerrero Jr., and that's out number 2. Rosarena goes down. JP Crawford, Randy Rosarena, 2 up and 2 down. Cal Raleigh, who had a single his first at bat, is due up next with 2 out and nobody on. Here comes the next pitch. Strike one to the dumper. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Low and in the dirt. 1-1. Here comes the next pitch. That's hit really hard, but foul down the first base side and into the crowd. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cal Raleigh. One ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Gosman. Raleigh has a little check swing, doesn't go around, and that's too far outside. 2-2 is the count. Man, view count is really low right now, only about 25. Not a very popular game today. Or too many options, probably. Swing and a miss in the dirt. Struck him out. Raleigh goes down swinging. Gone golfing. Looks like he was in the sand trap there. Blue Jays due up next. Nathan Lucas, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Addison Barger. Jay says Rosarena rice sand. I speak Spanish, so that's what his name makes me think. It makes me think of like a special arena, right? You take the last part of his name, arena. You think of like a stadium, right? An arena, a special place. It's the Arose Arena. Arose Arena, right? Welcome to the Arose Arena. It sounds like a venue, an event place. Brendan says, I watched the Jaguars game today. I think the Seahawks game will be real close because they beat the Jaguars defense. Yeah, I watched some of the highlights of that game. I didn't watch um I didn't watch all of the highlights. I just kind of skimmed over them. But it looks like the Seahawks are doing a pretty good job, you know. So it should be a pretty good game. I think that the Texans can shut down their offense though. And as long as Stroud and the running backs keep going like they're going, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't, I think that they will definitely beat the Seahawks. I'm looking forward to that game. It's gonna be fun. First time I've done a Monday night game. Hopefully I can get more and more people following along. It'd be nice if I could get the same type of viewers for the Texans games or more than I get for the Astros games. Same thing for the Rockets. Astros fans don't like Mariners, so it makes sense. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's Seattle. They're guilty by association. Guilty by association. 2025 ALCS. We are done with 2.5 innings. It's the bottom of the third now. Bryce Miller is facing Nathan Lucas. Fouls off the first pitch. Lucas had a nice long at bat earlier against Miller, fouled one off of his knee, and then wound up getting a walk. Batting .333 in the postseason. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. So far in the game, the first 2 innings, the Blue Jays have only swung and missed one time. Low and outside. 1-1 is the count. Texans Chargers, December 28th. Right between Christmas and New Year's. Here comes the toss. 96 at the top of the zone. He hits that out into shallow left field. He's able to charge in and get that one. Arozarena puts it away for out number 1. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. back at the plate. His line out in the first inning was 107 miles an hour, so he's hitting the ball hard. Let's see if he can do something right here. Here's the toss. Right in there in the bottom of the zone, 96 miles an hour. Strike one. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. He fouls that one off, bounces it down the third baseline. It's 0-2. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Outside. 1-2. The sweeper swept way outside. It looks like it's going to be a really slow day for this live stream. For this, the viewership at least. Here's the pitch. That's grounded to the shortstop. J.P. Crawford throws over to first. Low, but scooped up by the first baseman. 2 away as Guerrero grounds out. Addison Barger comes to the plate. He has 1 walk today. Batting .333 during the postseason. He hits that one to the right side. Naylor's going to have to hurry, and he's able to beat it out and get the out. Just barely gets there before Barger does for out number 3. That's 3 up and 3 down. No problem there for the Mariners in the bottom of the third, and we are finished with 3 innings of baseball. And this ridiculous MLB UI, I try to click the mute button, and instead it shifts. It always shifts. This is such a stupid feature. I really do believe that they do it on purpose because whenever it moves from the game to a commercial, the volume and the mute button shift over just a little bit. So if you try to mute, click mute whenever it goes to commercial, instead of clicking mute because of that shift, what happens is you wind up clicking on a commercial link and it takes you to some type of advertiser. You can't tell me that that's accidental. That is on purpose. The Mariners have 4 lobsters. The Blue Jays have 7. So the Blue Jays have managed to get 7 guys on base and then fail to move them around in just the first 3 innings. That's more than 2 per inning. That's no good. That's like getting 2 guys on base every inning and then not being able to move them around. Having an opportunity with 2 runners on. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Where is everybody going right now? Only 25 people watching. What what is everybody watching? Where's everybody listening in to the game? If I do a search for the game, let's see here. Mariners, Blue Jays. Let's do live. 640 people watching SDPN and Jesse Blake. I have no idea who that is. 328 watching Northwest Sports Fanatics. Yeah, I think that one doesn't really show anything. Yeah, you see this one? That's all they show. And oh my gosh. JM Baseball. Look at this. This is what I don't get. Who watches this? 211,000 subscribers just to watch a few guys sit in a recliner and talk about the game. Why do people watch that? First pitch in there is fouled off. J-Rod is at the plate. Here comes the 0-1 pitch from Gosman. 85 up and in, fouled off. 2 foul balls, 0-2 is the count. That's one thing I don't understand. I realize that there are different play-by-play guys, but when you got 3 guys sitting in a recliner just watching the game and they're not giving you the play-by-play or any detailed information about the game, how do they have so many subscribers and so many viewers? Check swing. He went around, they say. That's strike 3. 3-pitch strikeout to J-Rod. He continues to struggle in the postseason. Yeah, just couldn't stop. Couldn't stop himself. One away. Jorge Polanco comes to the plate. Here's the toss outside. 0 for 1 tonight with a fielder's choice ground out. One ball, no strikes. Here's the toss. Low and inside. Ball 2. 2-0 from Gosman. Gosman is now up to 45 pitches. Here in the top of the 4th. 1 out, nobody on for the Mariners. M's can't handle this split. Let's go Blue Jays, sink the Mariners. See, somebody sighing in the crowd. Here's the next pitch. Grounded, fouled down the first base side. The count's 2-1. Wow, 22 viewers. Why is it going down? We're going the wrong direction, guys. Man, that's disappointing. That's what happens when you're not doing Astros games anymore. Has hit fair down the line. Guerrero's going to take it himself. Good catch, good play. And he gets Polanco. DIY out number 2. Look at this catch. Good. Handles it himself. If that had been a bouncer, he would have needed the pitcher to be there. But it was hit so hard, he was able to take it himself. That's out number 2. Josh Naylor is due up next, followed by Eugenio Suarez. If Suarez gets an opportunity, we'll see. Northern Ontario, Jerry, how's it going? Good to have you here. 96 low and outside. Jerry, you'll find that there are a lot of sympathizers on my channel because we cover the Astros through the season. and we are of course George Springer fans. So you'll find a lot of support for the Blue Jays here. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that. That pitch is low and inside for ball two to Naylor. Pitch number 50 of the game coming in for Gosman in just a moment. Timeout called. Naylor wants timeout. Looks like he has something in his eye. That's kind of interesting. Josh Naylor is actually a Canadian local guy from Ontario. Isn't that interesting? And playing for the Mariners right now. Didn't know that. 95 up in the zone, fouled off for strike number one. The count's 2-1 with two outs. Thanks. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Make sure everyone else you like the live stream. Yeah, you're right about that, Jay. The lip reading videos really helped him out a lot. This is hit high to deep center field, all the way back to the wall. Varsho's going to get it at the track. A deep drive, almost 400 feet to dead center field. But the Rogers Center is able to contain it. And that's the third out. That's it for the top of the fourth. 3 up and 3 down. So far, the Blue Jays cruising along on defense. Gosman, 51 pitches, 34 in the zone. 2 hits. No runs. Bryce Miller has given up 2 hits as well, but one of those was a solo homer from George Springer. So it is 1-0 Blue Jays going into the bottom of the fourth. Alejandro Kirk is due up next, followed by Dalton Varsho and Ernie Clement. Jerry says Naylor's from a suburb of Toronto. Yeah, they just showed it on the screen. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. Sydney says, listen to 92 and 93 World Series wins here thanks to AFRTS, flaky shortwave radio feed, Mike Timlin's final out, and Joe Carter's walk-off. Wow, that's going way back. That's going way back. 92 and 93. You know, at that time, I was too busy playing baseball, playing basketball, playing sports, trying to finish up school. I graduated in 94. I should have graduated in 93, but because of my parents keeping me at home during middle school and homeschooling me, which was 50% on and 50% off, she wasn't able to prove that I'd actually studied all of the things that I needed to study to graduate. So I had to start 1 year back. And instead of graduating at 18 years old, I graduated at 19. But I was quite good at sports. I could play everything. And I really wanted to play receiver in football, but my parents wouldn't let me play football. And my preference would have been to play second base in college. I think I could have done that with some strength training, but unfortunately, we didn't play in a league where there were any scouts. It was not that type of a league, and but my coach really, really wanted me to have an opportunity to play sports in college. So he contacted some scouts, and they came to check me out playing basketball. And then they actually offered me a scholarship to go play in East Texas. I turned it down ultimately because I didn't want to play basketball. I got injured too much playing basketball. It didn't ever take me out of the game, but even practice and in games, my shoulder, my knees, my thumbs, getting scratched all the time. I was just getting tired of getting injured all the time. I didn't want to deal with that. I can take baseball injuries a lot better than I can take basketball injuries. Alejandro Kirk is at the plate. That's high. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kirk. But yeah, that was during my high school period. 91, 92, 93, 94. Here's the next pitch to Kirk. Little low, ball 2, 2-1. Jerry says Naylor will be soon joined in MLB by another brother, Miles, in the A's organization to make it 3 in the majors. What position does Miles play, Jerry? Do you know? 3. 3 brothers in the majors. That's crazy. Here's a pitch. 95 high. Hits it deep out to left field where, well, I say deep. It was high. That's called easily by Rosarena. Kirk flies out. Captain Kirk flies out to center field. 1 away. 1 up and 1 down. Dalton Varsho comes to the plate next. Here comes the first toss. Right in there, 96 miles an hour. Bryce Miller is not having a bad game. I mean, that opening home run was a blemish, but after that, he's been able to keep the Blue Jays from scoring runs. They're getting guys on base, but they haven't been able to move them in. That's hit straight up in the air. Is it going to be playable? No. Raleigh runs out of room. 0-2 is the count. I really think that the Astros could have used somebody like Josh Naylor, you know, left-handed first baseman. I'd trade him all day long for Christian Walker. All day long. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 97 above the zone, and Varsho went after it. Couldn't get the bat on it. That's 2 up and 2 down with Ernie Clement due up next. The A's are really building something, Jerry. I have a feeling that they might start moving up in the division. They're showing some real improvement. Here comes the first pitch to Clement, and he hits that out into center field, right to J-Rod, and he puts it away. Line drive on the very first pitch, and that's out number 3. 3 up and 3 down. So what do you guys think about the Cubs losing to the Brewers? I'm not surprised, and that's also the result that I wanted, so that's good. I'm just surprised that the Cubs took it to 5 games. I was expecting either a sweep or 3-1 Brewers. The Cubs made it interesting. Unfortunately, the Dodgers made it through to the NLCS. However, now that the Brewers have knocked the Cubs out, I'm waiting for them to do the same thing to the Dodgers. Coming up here in the top of the 5th, it's 1-0 Blue Jays. 2 hits for each team, 1 error on the Mariners right fielder, Victor Robles. Eugenio Suarez, Dominic Canzone, Dominic Canzone and Victor Robles are due up to bat in the top of the 5th in just a moment. You don't know what position? Okay, I got you. By the way, Naylor also has a cousin in MLB, Denzel Clark, an outfielder with the A's. Man, a lot of those guys are going through the A's. It looks like they've got a lot of new guys coming up through the A's. I mean, they got Kurtz. Kurtz is insane. He's going to make himself a nice paycheck, right? I'm looking forward to seeing what changes the Astros make because they've got changes to make in every single aspect of their organization. They've already been making some changes, and some of those changes I'm very, very happy about. To me, they were kind of like the minimal changes that were required to improve over this year. Moving on from some of their hitting coaches, it was necessary, in my opinion. Moving on from some of their medical staff, necessary. They did that. That's good. So those are two good moves. Now, what are they going to do with the players? That's the big question. 96 on the inside edge. Strike one on Suarez. Suarez 0 for 1 today. Here comes the next pitch from Gosman. He hits that one out to right field. Is it going to be playable? Yeah, it is. Guerrero takes it in foul territory on that pop out for out number 1. Dominic Canzone comes to the plate. You know, I do feel like the Blue Jays are missing a massive opportunity right now with the pitcher they're facing, leaving so many guys on base and not driving them in. They really need to be scoring. This is hit on the very first pitch by Canzone out to center field. Varsho's underneath it and puts it away for out number 2. 2 up and 2 down. Victor Robles due up in a moment. Let's see if he can make up for that error he made earlier. Luckily, the error turned out to not hurt them. That's a very clean look. Look how clean that is. Clean looking bullpen. First pitch to Robles on the way. That's hit hard out to right field. All the way over in the corner, and he's able to grab it. 14 straight retired by Gosman in the Blue Jays. Top of the 5th yields nothing for the Mariners. 5 innings in a row, completely scoreless. This is similar to a 15-inning extra inning game, right? Nobody scores. Nobody scores again. Nobody scores. Nobody scores again. Nobody scores. Nobody wants to score. You don't score, and you don't score. Nobody scores. Bottom of the 5th coming up. Bryce Miller back on the mound with 50 pitches, 35 in the zone. Anthony Santander, who's 1 for 1 today with a single that turned into a double, courtesy of the error by Victor Robles. He'll be up first, followed by Andres Jimenez. And then George Springer. Man, we are holding steady at 25 viewers. It feels so crazy, like the early days of my live stream. The early days of my live stream, whenever I was getting up to 25, I was kind of like, wow, I've got up to 25. That's great. Now it's like if I'm under 100, there's something wrong. That's the way I feel. But like I said before, earlier in the broadcast, I said that this is kind of a transition time for me. I'm moving from just doing Astros baseball to not only doing the MLB playoffs, but also Houston Texans games and eventually Houston Rockets games. Now, the Rockets will be playing on Monday Night Football next week against the Seattle Seahawks. They had a bye week. So if you are interested in the Seahawks and or the Texans, the Houston Texans, I do hope that you can join me for that game. It'll be my first Monday Night Football game to call. And my technically my third Texans game. But my second game to do with my scoreboard. I have a new scoreboard that is mostly working. We'll be back in just a moment. Anthony Santander should be at the plate in just a second. All right, just in time. We're back from commercial break. That song ended right on time. Well timed. Santander. Here's the first pitch. 96 on the inside edge, strike one. Jay says you could add sounds to your stream. For example, clip your favorite home run call and play it when there's a home run. Yeah, I've had some GIFs and stuff before, but I was using a different software, and some of those clips have to be re-added. But you know what? At the very least, the amount of information that I offer on the screen. I mean, look around the screen. The amount of information that I offer about the game and the short clips, the highlights of the game, like that right there. Swing and a miss, strike three on Santander. He goes down swinging on 3 pitches. Andres Jimenez comes up next. Nobody is doing the game clips like I am. Nobody has the information on the screen like I do. I'm already providing tremendously more value, Jay. So I don't really need to do anything more to be better than the other channels because it already is. The amount of information is already there. You know what I'm saying? This is fouled off. If you take a look at some of the other stuff that I have, look at this scoreboard. This is my NFL scoreboard. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Who else has that? Nobody. I also have the MLB scoreboard, but of course, right now there's only one game going on, so you're not going to see anything other than this one game. This is hit to second base. Polanco grabs it and throws it over to first. Jimenez grounds out for out number 2. But basically, the value that everybody is getting on this channel is very, very high. So even those channels like John Boy, I don't like John Boy anyway because he's a Yankee baby. He's one of those Astro haters. So I can't stand him. I don't like listening to his voice. I don't like listening to his stuff. Springer at the plate takes a big swipe at that first pitch and fouls it off. But like you said, if it weren't for his viral videos, you know, he wouldn't have nearly as many subscribers. But still, even if he has just 20 or 30,000 subscribers, I wonder how would he have that? Because his live streams for the games are trash. Just a few guys sitting in recliners. You don't even know what's going on in the game unless you're watching the game yourself and watching these guys at the same time. You have no idea what's going on in the game. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Fouled off on the half swing. Little check swing by Springer. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs and nobody on. Springer is 1 for 2 with a homer. Here comes the next pitch. Low and outside. The sweeper missing. 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's just a combination of things, you know. One of the things that really matters is what YouTube thinks your channel is. What do you do? You know, what do you offer on your channel? What's your focus? Fouled off on the first base side. The count remains 2-2. So basically, over the course of this year, YouTube has been thinking it's a Houston Astros channel. It's a Houston Astros channel. It's a Houston Astros channel, just over and over again. But it suddenly shifts a little bit into, oh, swing and a miss. 88 miles an hour, almost in the dirt. Springer went after it, couldn't get it, and that's out number 3. Let's see here. The only run in this game so far is by that guy right there. A home run on the very first pitch in the bottom of the first. But after that, nobody has scored anything. We are done with 5 innings of baseball here in Toronto in Game 1 of the ALCS. 1-0. 2 hits for each team, 1 error for the Mariners. Top of the 6th coming up. Top of the 6th. Hey, Cruz, good to see you. Welcome back. Long time no see. Long time no see. One of my members joining today. Actually, my first member to come in and say hi today. How are things going, Cruz? Hey, Jesse. Another member saying hi. Good to see you, Jesse. Appreciate you guys rolling in here. It's a very slow day today, it seems. Not just for the game, but even for the channel. I don't know what's going on. Don't have a lot of views. I think today so far, it's been my lowest viewer total all year. I don't think I've had a single game with such a low turnout. Maybe there are just too many live streamers doing the game. But like I was saying earlier, YouTube, it learns what your channel is about. And right now there's kind of a transition period. YouTube is having to relearn that, oh yeah, I'm doing some other MLB games, and oh yeah, I'm doing Texans games. And very soon it's also going to have to say, oh, you're also doing Rockets games. And then finally YouTube will figure it out. Oh, you do Houston sports. And then I'll start getting a lot more views. It just takes time. It takes time. But that's why I gotta keep doing these games. You just gotta keep doing it. You gotta muscle through. It's not instant gratification. The payoff comes later. Well, you're halfway through this game. Commercial break in progress. Really? I had no idea. I mean, I was watching the commercials, but I wasn't aware that these were commercials. Top of the 6th, J.P. Crawford at the plate facing Gosman. Outside, ball 1. 1-0. Ground out in the 3rd for Crawford. He's 0 for 1 today. Crowd is really dead right now. In the dirt. 2-0. I don't think that the live stream has been over 30. We haven't had more than 30 at once right now. Here's the toss. Little outside. 3-0. 3 straight balls. Yep. It is the top of the 6th. I wonder if the Blue Jays will start having somebody warm up. Gosman's up to just 58 pitches, but 3 straight balls to Crawford. Here's the next toss. That's in there. 93 miles an hour. Strike 1. Let's see if he comes back and gets the strikeout here. Here comes a 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Full count. It's interesting how the live score, my scoreboard, actually updates it before I'm seeing it on the screen. Usually it's the other way around, but recently, I guess they're on the ball with just the playoff games to do. This is the only game going on, so maybe it's updating faster. They just showed a lady cheering in the stands and she was yawning at the same time. That's hit to Clement, who knocks it down, picks it up, throws it over the first for out number 1. Crawford goes down. 1 away. Randy Rosarina comes to the plate next. Neither one of these pitchers, neither Miller nor Gosman, have thrown a lot of strikeouts. Just 4 and 3. 7 total strikeouts between them. Here comes the first pitch to Rosarina. Right in there, 96 miles an hour. Strike 1. Right on that inside edge. Here comes the next toss. Outside, 85-mile-per-hour slider. 1-1 is the count with 1 out. Here comes a 1-1 pitch. 96 on the inside edge, strike 2. That would have been a good ball to turn on. Rip it down the third base line. But Rosarina just laid off. Here's the toss, the 1-2, way outside and in the dirt on that slider. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hey, Rusty Gamer, what's going on? Good to see you. Getting a few familiar faces in the chat right now. Swing and a miss, 86 at the bottom of the zone on the splitter. Struck him out. That's the pitch that the Mariners have been kind of wary of. Set him up for it. That's another strikeout for Gosman. How many strikeouts does he have now? 5. Okay. Cal Raleigh at the plate with 2 outs, nobody on. Low and inside. The splitter missing. 1 ball, no strikes. Rusty says, evening go in chat. Awesome, more likes than viewers. Yeah, but the viewer count has been really bad today, Rusty. Haven't gone up to over 30 yet. Still knocking at the door, but the door is not opened. Another pitch low. 2-0 is the count. I think we just hit 30 finally. That's good. That's on the inside lower corner for strike 1. 2-1 is the count. Yeah, it's so interesting how whenever the viewer count is low, I have like a 100% like ratio, but whenever it goes way up, it's a struggle to get those likes up to even 50%. 2 balls and 2 strikes. With that foul off, Raleigh is 1 strike away from moving this into the bottom of the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Raleigh calls timeout, steps out of the box. The crowd is on their feet, waving their towels, eating their food at the same time. The guy's standing there with a bowl of food in his hand, and his other hand a towel, waving it around. It looked like he was eating soup. He had a bowl with a spoon in it. What was he eating? Here comes the 2-2 pitch. That's hit hard. It could be gone. That's gone. Cal Raleigh does it. He ties up the game on a 2-2 pitch. He launches it to right field. That's the 3rd hit of the game for the Mariners. Ties it up 1-1. The big dumper unloads into right field. And that leaves a bad smell in Toronto. And they pulled out the old ridiculous Aquaman trident, what I call a pitchfork, but I know it's a trident. I just like to call it a pitchfork to poke fun. Rusty, thank you so much. 30 viewers super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for the sympathetic super chat. Appreciate that. First pitch to J-Rod is a strike. 0-1 is the count. That's right. He dumps one into right field and leaves a bad smell in Toronto. Up and in, 97 miles an hour to Rodriguez. Ball 1. The count's even. J-Rod did have a single in the first inning. That's the first hit that Gosman has given up in quite a while. He has retired so many batters in the dirt and outside. 2-1. 4 career home runs against Kevin Gausman. Jesse says he took a dump. Yes, he did. Now he's relieved. But to be fair, he does spend a lot of time squatting, you know. Here's the pitch. Up and in, 3 balls and 1 strike. No, the Astros do not do any home run props, thank God. I hate the home run props. I think the home run props are stupid. I'm really glad that the Astros don't do that. Here's the pitch. Inside, ball 4. So now Gausman, after getting the first 2 outs, gives up the homer on the 2-2 pitch, and then walks J-Rod on 5 pitches. Now he wants a new ball. Give me a new ball. And it looks like Gausman's time is up. So after 5 2/3 inning, that's going to be it. He gets 2 outs, gives up a big dump right there, walks a batter, and with Jorge Polanco due up, Gausman will be taken out. He doesn't quite get through 6. He was almost there. He just needed 1 out. It's interesting, you know, I think in a regular season game, if it's in the 6th inning, Gausman only had 76 pitches. I think that if he gives up a homer and a walk and he still has 2 outs, you don't pull him out in a 1-1 game, right? You don't pull him out so early. But right now, it's kind of like the Blue Jays are thinking, we're not going to score many runs. It's going to be a low-scoring game for the rest of the game. It's going to be a struggle to just get 1 run on the board. So we can't take any risks. We need to bring in another pitcher, a fresh pitcher, and try to lock it down. Yeah, Jesse says no, the Astros don't. No way in H-Town. Absolutely. Props are stupid. Several teams refuse to use the home run props. And good on all of them. What I think is really funny is how the Angels started using the like the samurai helmet, right? And then Otani left. So what now? You know, that's what I'm thinking. Otani's gone. And you could say, well, now that they've got Kikuchi, right? You say Kikuchi. Yeah, but they didn't have him before, and it still doesn't make any sense. Kikuchi's a pitcher. He's not a hitter. It's not like he's going to be hitting any home runs anytime soon. Got a little bit of a timeout going right now, but while they change pitchers and he warms up, Brendan Little is coming in the game for the Blue Jays. Gausman is out. 3-hitter today, 1 earned run. First pitch from Little coming to Polanco right now. That's in there, 87 miles per hour, strike 1. The Mariners have a runner on first base with 2 outs. Polanco calls timeout. Regardless of the low view numbers, I do appreciate everyone who's here. And like what was said earlier, like Rusty said, everybody's doing a good job putting the likes on the live stream. So I really do appreciate that. I really do. Always appreciate the likes, the subs, and the chats. Nice, positive, fun conversation going on is always nice. 1 ball, 1 strike to Polanco. Little steps back on the rubber. Looking for the call. Looks like he's got what he wants, and he comes set. Here's the next pitch to Polanco. Swing and a miss, low and inside, 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Count is 1-2. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. That's in the dirt inside, and that'll get away from Kirk, allowing Rodriguez to go to second base. So now they've got a runner in scoring position with a wild pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Polanco. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on second. Wow, another wild pitch in the dirt, and that's ball 4. I'm sorry, ball 3. Looked like Polanco was headed towards first like he walked. He tricked me. Yeah, right here. After that pitch, he started walking towards first base. Yeah, see? He tricked me. That was a good save by Kirk, though. He kept it in front of him, so J-Rod couldn't advance. Full count. Here we go. This is a big pitch for Mr. Brendan Little. A big pitch for Little. It's a big one for Mr. Little. Here's the toss. 96 inside, fouls it off, and it bounces off of Kirk's glove. Gonna have another full count pitch, guys and gals. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the toss. That's hit hard into left field. Now it'll be down for a base hit. They wave J-Rod in. He'll score easily. Mariners are up 2-1 on the line drive single to left field by Jorge Polanco. And that is the man that has come through multiple times for the Mariners in the postseason. Wow. All of this has happened with 2 outs. The Mariners are channeling their inner Astros right now, scoring with 2 runs, or 2 outs, rather. It's so sad. 5 innings and 2/3 of an inning. He had 2 outs, nobody on. Cal Raleigh hit a homer. Then there's the walk, the wild pitch, the single. Now it's 2-1. 0-1 is the count to Josh Naylor. Jesse says, not good. Not good. That's a strike right in there. Naylor calls a timeout. The count is 0-2 with 2 outs. The crowd boos. Boo. Boo, they say. Here comes the next toss. In the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tommy want swingy. There we go. Throws it over to first base. One ball, two strikes. Here's a pitch to Naylor. Swing and a miss. He got it. He got it. Tommy likey. Tommy wants swingy. You get it. You get it, Tommy, but not before Cal Raleigh hits a home run. Yeah, some Toronto fans not very happy right now. Wow. 2-1 going into the bottom of the sixth. The Blue Jays started off early and just shut down after that. Springer with the home run, and then they started getting guys on base and couldn't bring them in. Just so you know, between the first and sixth inning, the Mariners have basically left 5 guys on base without moving them around. The Blue Jays, in the first 5 innings, have left 7 guys on base without moving them around. They've had multiple opportunities to bring their men home, but they haven't been able to do it. Yep, damage is done. Jay says the Angels switched to a fireman helmet to support the firemen in the LA fires. You know, and yeah, I don't care what the prop is. All props are stupid to me. I think they're all stupid, but I think something like that is kind of useless because it's a temporary thing, you know. If they're trying to do a permanent home run prop, then of course the fire helmet would not be the one to do. That's a temporary thing. But you know, if the Angels decide to adopt a sometimes home run prop, that would make more sense. But if they continue to use the fire helmet, I think that's silly. But they could have just gotten rid of it. Like I said before, I think that the home run props are stupid. If the Angels never did home run props and then they decided to do the fire helmet for a little while to show their respect, that would make sense. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But doing it after every single home run, like the Mariners do, or like the who else is doing the prop? The Blue Jays are doing the prop. Both of these teams are doing the prop. They have the jacket. The Blue Jays have the jacket. Miles Straw is now at the plate. He's batting for Nathan Lucas. Lucas has been taken out of the game. You'll probably remember earlier in the game he fouled it off of his knee, so they finally took him out. Bryce Miller still on the mound for the Mariners. He's at 62 pitches. Here's the 63rd. That's hit out into shallow center. Rodriguez and Robles come in. Rodriguez takes it for out number 1. Almost a collision. Robles wisely backs off at the last moment. Spire and Bizzardo are warming up in the bullpen for the Mariners. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is at the plate with 1 out, nobody on. First pitch, 85 inside, all the way outside of the zone, but called a strike by the umpire. Guerrero is over 2 today with a line out. That's low and outside. 1-1 is the count. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. .65 pitches now for Miller. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 85 in the bottom of the zone. Nice splitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Guerrero calls a timeout, steps out of the batter's box. He missed that one by quite a bit. 4 hits for the Mariners, 2 for the Blue Jays. Here comes the 1-2. This is grounded up the middle. Polanco should have an easy throw over to first base. Not a great throw, kind of low. Naylor stretches out there to grab it for out number 2. If I'm not mistaken, the next Rockets game, according to this, is, I mean, it says for me the 17th. I think in the US it's the 16th. So that's 4 days from now. Rockets are 2-0 in preseason. Here comes the pitch to Guerrero. I'm sorry, to Barger. That glanced off of Raleigh's glove and hit the umpire. One ball, no strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the 6th. Addison Barger at the plate facing Bryce Miller, who's now about to be up to 69 pitches. Too low and inside. 2-0. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. Little high and outside. That could have been a strike in the top of the zone, but the umpire didn't really like it so much. 3 balls and no strikes. Is he going to lose him? Here comes the 3-0 to Barger. Low and inside, ball 4. He does. He loses him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First base runner that the Blue Jays have had in 5 innings. And that brings up Captain Alejandro Kirk. They're going to have a little chit-chat with Bryce Miller right now. But they might not pull him out. It looks like they're just going to chat with him. So with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th, the Blue Jays now have an opportunity to do what the Mariners did in the last half of the inning. Drive some runs in with 2 outs. They got a runner on first. Here's a first pitch to Kirk. Right in there. The slider, strike 1. 87 miles an hour. Alejandro Kirk, over 2 today with 2 flyouts. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Low and outside. 1-1. Barger on first base, 2 outs. Here's the 1-1 pitch. 96 miles an hour, right in the middle of the plate. Swing and a miss. Kirk is 0 for 10 in the postseason with 15 runners left on base with him at the plate. That's crazy. 15 lobster. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Long delay. Fouls it back. Barger was stealing. A little bit of a hit and run going on there. Barger will go back to first base. Yeah, Jesse, if the Jays want their lead back, that's what they need, that's for sure. But Alejandro Kirk is in a massive drought right now, so any hit from him will be a massive improvement. Here's the pitch. It looks like he's going to fly out again to left field, left center. Rosarina comes in and puts it away. Bryce Miller gets through another inning, 6 innings of 2-hit, 1-run ball after giving up that leadoff home run to George Springer in the first inning. He hasn't given up anything since then. Now the Blue Jays have stranded runners 8 times. 8 lobsters lost to sea. They had them in the traps and they lost them. Yeah, right, Jay. Kirk is definitely the lobster king. He's the king of sinking the ship. You could say he's the lobster mutiny captain, right? They actually get the lobsters in the boat, and then he causes a mutiny and sinks the ship, takes the dinghy, and escapes. Sydney says, where are the bats that shelled the spit Yankees for 34 runs? That's a good question. That's a really good question. You know, and this pitcher that's pitching against them, it reminds me, of course, Astros fans will be very, very familiar with this because for those of you who don't know this, you'll get a kick out of it. Trust me, you'll get a kick out of it, even if you're not an Astros fan. But Astros fans listening right now, they'll say, yep, that's right. And those of you who are not Astros fans will get a good chuckle out of it. But basically, what we said all season is that the Astros hitters make the worst pitchers look like Cy Young candidates. So you have a guy come up who's got like a 5.68 ERA, a 7 ERA, 7.8 ERA, and the Astros will give him almost a no-hitter. The Astros might manage to score 1 run and they'll lose the game 2-1 or 3-1 or something stupid like that against a pitcher who has lost and gotten blown up basically against every other team he's pitched against. But for some reason, whenever he pitches against the Astros, it's like the Astros are facing a Cy Young candidate. That's been a consistent thing, or that was a consistent thing in the 2025 season for the Astros. And that's kind of like, really, honestly, it's kind of like the way the Blue Jays are playing right now. Granted, Springer got the home run in the very first inning on the very first pitch, but after that, essentially, they've made this guy right here, Bryce, Bryce Miller look like a Cy Young candidate. His ERA is like, what, 5.6, 5.7, something like that. They've made him look like an amazing pitcher, and they should have been lighting him up. Lewis Varland is now in the game for the Blue Jays. He's pitching to Eugenio Suarez, and that's a swing and a miss on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. 0-1 is the count. I don't think that any Astros fan will disagree with me about what I just said, but it has been a common refrain for the Astros, or it was, rather, this season. 0-2 on the foul out. Suarez down in the count. Postseason, he had been absolutely ineffective so far. 99 above the zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Suarez. Yeah, but you know, the good thing, Jesse, is that remember the Astros also had that curse before of not being able to win at home, right? 89 below the zone, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And they were able to break that. They didn't have that problem this year. And that curse that you're talking about, the Cy Young curse, that's a development they had this year. And I think that probably they'll be able to eliminate that next year. I think that'll go away. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Suarez gets down to the count 0-2, and now Varland has allowed him to come back in the count 3-2. Here comes the next toss. 99 fouls it off. Count remains full. It looks like this game is probably not going to go more than 30 viewers today, unless it remains close all the way up to the end, then maybe. But I think that if it gets over 50, it might be difficult for it to get over 50 viewers today. I guess most people are just watching it on TV. They could be. Could also be the reason why. Here's the toss. Fouled off again. 99 at the top of the zone. The count remains full. That's a good pitcher, Brian Wu. I wouldn't mind the Astros getting a hold of him. I wonder what the... Yes, that's a good question, Jesse. This is a high fly to center field. Out to the wall. It's off the top of the wall. Suarez finally gets a big hit, just shy of a homer to center field, and he strolls into second base with a double. Suarez finally gets a big hit. Comes just maybe a couple of feet shy of a homer to dead center field. Basho tries to climb the wall to get it. He's nowhere near it. Had to make a play, though. Yeah, look at that. Inches. Inches. Look at that. 3 more inches up, that would have been gone. Ball 1 to Dominic Canzone. Canzone at the plate with no outs. Suarez on second. But Jesse, what Jesse said is hilarious. It's so sad, but it's a good question. I wonder what it will be next season. Yes, what will next year's Astros curse be for the season? Maybe it's a curse of not being able to score less than 4 runs per game. It's a good curse. The Astros are unable to score less than 4 runs a game. It's the good curse. Here comes the next pitch to Canzone. 2-0. He grounds it to short. Clement throws it over to first, a little low, but Guerrero grabs it. Suarez dances over to third base. 1 down with a runner on third. Hey, Mr. Page, good to see you. Mr. Page says Astros also made a bunch of 9-hole hitters look like Ty Cobb. But you know, Mr. Page, you have to give the Astros credit because our bottom third of the batting order was one of the best in baseball, if not the best. Our bottom third batters were freaking awesome. So that was a double-edged sword. In the dirt, they say he didn't swing on the check swing. Ball 1. The crowd is booing. They think that he went around. Victor Robles at the plate. 1 out. Suarez on third base. J.P. Crawford on deck. Lewis Varland on the mound, up to 12 pitches. Here comes the next toss, the 1-0. That is crushed into the crowd. Robles got a good swing on it, but he came around too early. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rusty says, will they still use the built for this slogan? Maybe, you know what, Rusty, you know, it'd be a funny shirt. Maybe I should have another t-shirt made that says rebuilt for this. That'd be the next year's shirt, right? That's what the Astro shirt, your slogan should be for 2026. Rebuilt for this. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Astros 2026 rebuilt for this. Swing and a miss in the dirt. What a beautiful knuckle curve there. Robles went after it, couldn't get it, and that's out number 2. This reminded me of the Hunter Brown knuckle curve. Big drop. Yes, you're right, Rusty. It sounds hilarious. Rebuilt for this. I'm telling you, if I were in Houston and I went to a game next year, I seriously would wear that shirt. It would say rebuilt for this. Everybody would probably be like, "Are you kidding me?" Maybe I'd get some grief for it, but I think a lot of people would appreciate it. One ball, no strikes to JP Crawford. 0 for 2 today. Here's the pitch. 99 outside, 2 0. And thank you, Mr. Page. Appreciate it. Top of the seventh. Suarez on third. 2 0. Ooh, 98 on that outside edge. Called ball 3. JP Crawford is the ninth hole hitter, batting 238 in the postseason. Over 2 today. He might be about to walk him. That's in there. 98 miles an hour, strike 1. So we know that Varland can throw a strike when he really wants to. 3 balls and 1 strike. Right on the outside edge. Now, what's funny about that pitch, it was 98 miles an hour fastball on the outside edge. It was in the exact same spot as a couple of pitches ago, and it was called a ball. Now it's called a strike. Full count. Stuff like that is disappointing, you know? Same exact pitch. This is grounded to the shortstop. Clement, he lobs it over to first, and he gets out of a minor jam, a minor old-timey jam. L number 3 on the ground outs. Suarez comes just a few inches shy of adding another run. But with a runner on second, and then moving him over to third, they're not able to capitalize. 5 hits now for the Mariners versus the Blue Jays 2. Can you believe that the Blue Jays only have 2 hits this game? That is really hard to believe. But you better believe it because that's what it says right now. Unless this game is AI and I'm not watching the real game somehow. MLB TV is tricking me by showing me an AI game between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. If not, the game is 2-1. 5 hits for the Mariners. 2 hits for the Blue Jays. 2 home runs in this game. The big dumper and a Springer dinger. Rowdy Roddy Tellez. Look at that big dude. Boom, 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 boom. Feel the ground shake when he runs. Yeah, the Rangers have 3 players on their team. Large, extra large, and super size. I think that Tellez is the extra large guy. He's the middle sized guy. He's not the big one. Jake Berger is the large sized guy. And then you have super size. I can't remember his name, but that dude is really big. I was always amazed that guys like that get into the major leagues because they can't run fast. They're limited on how fast they can react on defense. And their hitting is okay, but it's not amazing. And it just makes me wonder, how can guys like that, who are not nearly as athletic as some other guys in better shape, how are they getting into the major leagues? I just don't get it. Sydney says earliest Blue Jay I can remember is Dave Stive in 1986, legacy player. Ah, pitcher, right-handed pitcher. Retired in 1989. Little commercial break going on right now. It's the middle of the 7th. Now it's the bottom of the 7th. We just came back from commercial break. Varsho at the plate fouls off that first pitch. Strike one. Gabe Spire is now on the mound, rather, for the Mariners. 0-1 is the count to Varsho. Here's the pitch. Fouls it off again. 2 pitches, 2 fouls, 2 strikes. Game number 1 of the ALCS between the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. Canada's behind right now. 2-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Going outside, 2-2. Evens it up. That's interesting. 10 runs versus the Yankees in the first game. Only 1 today so far, and that's a line drive out to center field. J-Rod puts it away. Varsho retired. Ernie Clement comes to the plate. They're saying that the Blue Jays have a 48% chance to score 2 more runs or more. They've got 49 comeback wins this year. It's number 1 in MLB. That's hit high in the air by Clement to right field. Robles is underneath it, and he puts it away for out number 2. Dominguez is warming up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Gabe Spire will now face Anthony Santander. Prince Fielder was a rotund fella. I'll have to pull up his picture just to take a look at him. Hey, Angel, good to see you, man of culture. Here's the pitch. Right in there, 84 miles an hour. Yo. Glenn has entered the building. Let me move this over so I can see you. That's hit hard to left field. It might be downed. He makes the catch. That was a good catch by Rosarena in left field, and that'll be out number 3. That was really close to being down. So Spire is able to get the Mariners through the bottom of the 7th. We're finished with 7 innings of baseball. More than likely, Dominguez will be up on the mound for the Blue Jays in the top of the 8th. The game is 2-1 right now. 5 hits for the Mariners and just 2 hits for the Blue Jays. Randy Rosarena is due up, top of the batting order, followed by Cal Raleigh and then Julio Rodriguez. Mr. Page says that Canada can't win a Stanley Cup, so they decided to give the World Series a shot. Is it that bad these days in hockey? That's unfortunate. But yeah, this is Glenn, everybody. I know it's a little dark over there. I don't have a lot of light on in here, but yeah. Why don't you
Yeah.
introduce yourself?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and g'day. How are you? I have to say that bit. I'm Glenn. I'm from Australia, and friend of Brandon's, and out visiting his home for another year. Been doing this for a couple of years now. So
Where exactly in Australia are you from?
currently living on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia.
Where were you born? I don't think I've ever actually asked you that.
I was born in Melbourne,
Okay.
down in Victoria, down the southern part of Australia.
What's the best place in Australia?
That depends on what you like. That's a really hard question to answer.
What's the place with the most moderate climate?
Probably Sydney or Brisbane.
Okay.
but it depends on whether you want moderate, as in moderate to warm, or
More
moderate.
cool, I think, for me. For
Okay,
me.
then you're probably going a bit on the south side of Brisbane.
Okay.
South side of Sydney,
Okay.
and Bateman's Bay way, something like that. That's a nice area.
How cold does it get in Tasmania?
During winter, it snows. That's about all I can really tell you.
Okay, well, kind of chilly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
heard that it gets a lot colder down that way.
yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Page says, got a co-host. Yeah, sort of. He's been outside doing work in the yard. He's been helping me out doing some stuff out there, and I told him he could drop in here anytime and join the live stream. But he's been
yeah.
out there doing all sorts of stuff. I don't know what he's doing out there. I'm sure I'll come out. I'll be like, whoa,
Surprise!
yeah. Maybe he's got one of the buildings torn down or something.
No.
But yeah, he just came in yesterday and or the day before,
Yeah,
actually.
Saturday.
Yeah, my days are all the same right now. But we're supposed to go to a an old house because I know that you guys don't know what a kominka is, but we're supposed to go to like an old house, an old Japanese farmhouse summit. Yeah, later in about 3 weeks or so, something like that. But he's also visiting a friend, a Japanese friend in Osaka, who's moving to
Okinawa.
Okinawa. Still haven't been there, actually. Let's see here. We are back, and Sir Anthony Dominguez is on the mound, like I was saying. They brought him in the game for the Blue Jays. He's facing Randy Arozarena. Two straight balls to Arozarena. Here is the 2-0 pitch. Right in the bottom of the zone, strike one, 97-mile-per-hour heater. George says, let's go, Jays. Good evening. And good morning to you. It's about 11:17 here in Japan. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's high. 3-1. You don't want to walk a Rosarena with Cal Raleigh on deck, that's for sure. If you walk anybody, you should walk Raleigh. There's a question for you right there, Glenn. Any
Yeah.
baseball in Sports Mad Australia?
There certainly is baseball, but it is not a high end game. It has to take second place to football and cricket, and basketball for that matter. So yeah, it's not a game that everybody knows.
And when you say football, you mean Australian rules football?
It's very general in that because it doesn't matter whether it's Australian rules football, not gridiron, rugby union, rugby league,
Okay,
even
rugby
soccer.
associated ball, basically.
Yeah, not necessarily Australian rules.
Okay,
Any of the rugbies, also soccer.
okay.
To us, they all come under the heading of football, and they're very very popular as a winter sport.
0-1 is the count to Raleigh. Rosarena's on first base with that walk, and that's a foul off. 0-2, he's down in the count.
Of course, the summer sports are basketball and very much so cricket.
Cricket. Did you ever play cricket?
I did play cricket quite a lot.
How
More as a
difficult is
younger
it
person.
to play cricket?
It's a very boring game. To be very honest, it's a very boring game.
Very to play or to watch or both?
Both. Depends on the type of game. They have very short games,
Mm.
20 overs each side. That's a bit more fun, a
Okay.
bit more energetic.
How long is the standard cricket game?
A test match is 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah.
Well, how many?
Maximum of 5 days.
That's a strikeout from Kyle Raleigh. That's a big out right there with a runner on base. Dominguez gets a strikeout and the first out of the inning. Half swing on Raleigh. Next batter is J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. He's on with one runner on first. Here comes the pitch. That's going to get away. Rosarena was stealing second base, and he's able to get it because whenever Kurt tried to grab that pitch and come up throwing, he missed it. I think that's going to be a missed pitch. It's going to be a passed ball. Yep. Not a wild pitch, but a passed ball. Yeah, he should have caught that. So Rosarena's on second base with one out. Dominguez fakes the throw to second base. That's one disengagement. J Rod at the plate with a 1-0 count. One out. Runner on second. Top of the eighth. The Blue Jays need to shut this down. They're going to try to come back or have a chance to come back. Rosarena steals third. It doesn't even get a throw from Kirk. Wow, Rosarena just owning the bases right now. He must have had a massive jump right there. Big lead. Kirk didn't even throw it. Next pitch is low and outside, 99 miles an hour. 3 balls and no strikes. So Dominguez having a little bit of trouble throwing strikes right now after striking out Raleigh. 3-0. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. 98 right in there, and he fouls that one off, and that's strike one. Jorge Polanco is on deck, followed by Josh Naylor. This top of the lineup is going to be the most dangerous for Dominguez, but so far he's been kind of hit or miss. Here comes the toss. Outside, ball 4. J-Rod walks, and now the Mariners have runners on the corners with 1 out. Polanco at the plate. Blue Jays have more action in the bullpen with Fluharty. Pitching coach comes out to have a little chit chat with Dominguez. So, why do you like Japan so much? By the way, how many times have you been to Japan?
Oh my goodness. This would be maybe the 7th trip
Okay.
in 11 years.
And you've been to Okinawa a few times, right?
Quite often, when the people who I met 16 years ago,
Mm.
when I started coming to Japan, one of them was in Osaka, another one was in Okinawa. So there's always been somebody in Okinawa, basically, so, until now, because she moved back to Osaka.
Okay.
Now she's moving back to Okinawa, so we're heading back down there.
How long was she in Osaka this time?
18 months, 2 years.
Okay. And that's all it took for her to want to go back to Okinawa.
No, her heart's
Mostly family stuff, probably.
yeah,
Pushed her out.
family. It's just not so much
Her
pushed
brother.
her out, but it's more a matter of her heart's always been in Okinawa.
Gotcha.
She just loves Okinawa. I mean, her daughter lived there for 11 years. So.
1-0 pitch. Splitter, 84 miles an hour, right in there, swinging a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike to Polanco. He calls timeout. Runners on first and third, Rosarena and Rodriguez. One out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Looks like he might be stealing. No, he's not going this time. That ball's in the dirt. Kirk stops it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Still got 26 viewers. Wow. I guess this game is too popular. Too many people watching it on TV. I got a couple of viewers over in the UK from Canada. That's through on the right side, and that'll score a run. It's 3-1 Mariners. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Polanco comes through with another big hit. The Mariners have a 2-run lead over the Blue Jays here in the top of the 8th, and they still have 2 more on with 1 out. Ground ball just happened to be through the right spot. Clement was not able to get to it. And that brings up Josh Naylor. He's 0 for 3 today, but also a dangerous hitter. Same thing with Suarez. Suarez hasn't been doing well overall in the postseason, but he had the big hit off of center field earlier, almost a homer. And it looks like it's going to be it for Dominguez. We're on a commercial break, so they are changing out pitchers. Dominguez is done. Angel says Australian world famous Olympic freestyle ray gun. Angel is the subscriber who sent me the care package.
Ah, yep.
So hey, I gave him some of the payday candy bars. Have you had one of those
Yeah,
before?
not payday one. No,
Okay,
no, something of similar nature in Australia.
gotcha. Yeah, in Australia they do have the Twix, and Glenn has actually brought me some Twix from Australia before, but I didn't know if he had the payday, and I gave a couple of those
Mm.
to him. So, but I grew up on those. Those were I was kind of addicted to those when I was younger. Still like them, but they don't have them in Japan.
Nah.
That's the kind of stuff you can order on Amazon, but it'll take a while to get, and you'll pay like $50 for a small bag.
Bag, yeah.
It's ridiculous. A lot of Chinese have figured out that if you open a small shop in the foreigner area and you sell imported goods, you can sell like a box of cereal for 25 or $30. So they import a lot of those things that they don't sell in China.
Mm.
And then the foreigners just constantly go in there and buy that stuff. It's like some of these basic like Doritos, Cool
Yeah, yeah,
Ranch.
yeah. Don't
Y-
know Cool Ranch.
Yeah, well, the regular ones are nachos. Now here in Japan, for some stupid reason, they have the taco flavor everywhere. Just the standard cheese flavor. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
that,
Yeah.
but they've got taco flavor. Tell me how
Okay.
that makes any sense. But
When it comes to flavors of chips, drinks, anything,
mm,
Japan loves to be different.
yeah, and I could understand it better if it were like the Doritos were some kind of like maybe just avocado, and they do have those sometimes here and there. But if they were just the avocado, I would understand that a little better because that makes sense in Japan. But taco flavor, that's Mexican style. Blue Hardy is now on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's looking to put out the fire and keep this game within reach. First pitch is a strike to Josh Naylor. Here comes the nope. He throws to second base. J Rod gets back. Blue Hardy gave up some runs in a couple of different games already this postseason. There's a pitch. Swing and a miss. Nice toss. That was a sweeper. I often call the sweeper pitch a swiffer. Every once in a while when I say that was a swiffer, somebody will say, "What's a swiffer?" Just trying to make it fun. 0 for 3 today. Line out, fly out, strikeout. Here's the toss. Outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Naylor. Runners on first and second. The Mariners up 3-1. If we look at the Lobsters lost today, the Mariners have 9 so far, and the Blue Jays have 8. They've left a good bit of men on base. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Naylor goes down. Went golfing, trying to hit it out of the sand trap, and that's out number 2 with a strikeout. Fluharty gets his first batter after coming in the game. You can see they're playing in Toronto right now. I heard a joke about a comedian a while back. He talked about the World Series, the baseball World Series. It's called the World Series, and he said everybody else, all the other countries, they're not trying, but Canada's trying, because they have a team in the league. All the other teams are American. They're like, well, at least Canada's trying. 0-1 to Suarez. Suarez is 1 for 3 today with a double that was just a couple of inches below the home run line. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. 91, a little high. Ball one. The count's even. 1-1. Not much time left in this game. 2 more at bats for the Blue Jays, and that's it. 92 inside, just a little inside. That pitch has been called inconsistently the entire game by the umpire, just barely on that inside edge. Sometimes strike, sometimes ball. Counts 2-1. Fluharty pitching to Suarez. Nope, he goes to second. Not a serious toss. Rodriguez looking around like, what was that? Infielder wasn't even at the base. He was out near the grass. 2-1 pitch to Suarez on the way. Bounces it foul. It's 2-2. Crowd is lethargically starting to clap and cheer. Canadian crowd is an interesting mix of people. Seattle, too. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Suarez steps back into the batter's box. Cal Raleigh's picking at his mustache. Here's a pitch. Bounce foul again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count remains. Did you ever play baseball?
They might have done it once or twice at
Mm,
high school, but
okay.
as I said, it's not a high level game.
You in Japan, you probably know that whenever they pick a club activity, they can only do that one activity, right?
That's right.
Swing and a miss. They get the strikeout against Suarez. Fluharty comes in and does his job, gets the 2 outs that he needs to end the inning. But the Mariners get one more run. It's 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. Andres Jimenez is due up if there's no batting change, followed by George Springer. And after Springer, Miles Straw. But that gives us an opportunity to chit chat a little more in between innings. So my question is, like, in the US, when you're growing up, you basically can play as many sports as you have time for. And most sports have their season, right?
Yep.
So there might be overlap. If you go to a smaller school, there's generally not any real overlap. You just when you finish one sport, you start another.
Yep.
But some big schools have many sports, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of overlap, and sometimes you can be playing football and also be playing baseball at the same time if you're good at both.
Yeah.
But what about in Australia? How does it differ between
Certainly,
Japan and the U.S.?
well, certainly in Australia, when I grew up, which was a long time ago, there were very few sports. The basic ones,
Mm,
cricket. I grew up in Victoria, so Australian rules football,
mm.
and that was it, basically.
Did you or were you involved in both, or did you play much in school?
I'm mainly in football, not
Okay,
so much cricket. I did play cricket, but not that much. And then outside of school, I played basketball.
okay.
Um,
Did your school have a basketball team?
no,
Really?
no,
Wow. Okay. Usually that's one of the main sports that
yeah.
schools have. I mean, as long as you have a court, it's easy.
Yeah,
Just
look,
need a ball.
they actually taught
Mm,
things like basketball, tennis was
okay.
another thing that's very popular in Australia. But not as a competitive against other schools type thing. The only
Okay.
thing they did
Did you
against
guys have
other
a
schools
full court,
for tennis,
for basketball?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
They
interesting.
actually some schools, particularly the high schools I went to, had indoor courts as well.
Mm.
Another sport in Australia is netball. Netball is hugely
Mm.
popular.
Netball?
Netball.
What is that like internet baseball or internet ball?
No, no, it's a tamer version of basketball.
Tamer version of
Put it
basketball.
this way: in netball, you're not allowed to dribble the ball. So if you take the dribbling out, you just got to pass it all the time.
So you can't run with
Nope,
the ball,
nope,
right? You can
nope.
only run without the ball.
Yep, and you have to
Okay.
pass it
So
from
is it
one
kind of like
person to the other.
traveling if you take a step?
Yep,
Now, are you
yep.
allowed to have a pivot foot in netball?
Uh,
Like, can you move one
no,
foot?
you can move one foot around, but when you catch it, one foot has to stay stationary.
Okay,
So you
so
can't
you do
take
have a
that.
pivot
You
foot.
can't take that momentum still.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
same thing as basketball. If you're standing still, you have a pivot foot,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. You
can't
can't.
alternate, or you can't, because that's walking.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
traveling with
yeah.
the ball. Okay, I gotcha. 97 miles an hour right in there. Matt Brash is in the game for the Mariners. I wonder if I can adjust the volume. I might be able to use the volume on the screen here. That's a grounder straight to Josh Naylor at first base. Andres Jimenez grounds out on the second pitch. Bottom of the eighth. One up and one down. Man, this fly is persistent, isn't it? There you go. That volume is not right. This guy right here, George Springer, he used to play with the Astros. 88 miles an hour right in there. Strike one on the slider. In the very first inning, the very first at bat, he's the first batter for the Blue Jays. He hit a home run, and that's been the only run of the game for the Blue Jays. He takes a big hack at that one and fouls it off. 2-0 is the count. Angel says, hopefully not 15 innings. Yeah, I don't want another one of those. 0-2 is the count to Springer with one out, nobody on. He swings and misses that one. The slider way outside. He went back to his Astros roots and chased that one for out number two. Yeah, Mr. Page says right. No more 15 innings. Angel says, before the days of Zoom meetings, I went to Perth, Australia for a meeting. It was the longest trip I've ever done.
For
Yep.
us, for us to go from the east coast of Australia to the west coast where Perth is, it's also a long trip.
How long does it take to fly that far?
That's 5 hours.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Maybe
quite a
four and a
distance.
half. Yeah, it
Four and a
depends.
half to 5
Depends whether
hours.
you're leaving from Brisbane, Sydney, or Melbourne.
1-0 is the count to Davis Schneider. Schneider is in for Straw, and Straw was in for Lucas. Lucas got hit on the knee. He fouled the ball off on his knee, and they took him out. Straw came in, but he was only in for a little bit. Now they've got Davis Schneider in. 1 ball, 1 strike to Schneider with 2 outs, nobody on. The Blue Jays are running out of outs. Here comes the pitch from Brash. That's hit in the air. Should be a fly ball, easy out to right field. Robles is underneath it and puts it away for out number three. He doesn't have a card in his mouth this time, so he's able to make the play. Brash comes off the field. 3 up and 3 down. Nothing doing for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the eighth. We go to the top of the ninth. It's the last inning. Last opportunity for the Blue Jays. They're going to let down their crowd if they don't do something here. Sydney says Jays. Yeah, Sydney's in the UK right now from Canada, listening in. I appreciate everybody joining. How many viewers do we have right now? We got 30. Been hovering around this. It's been very low today. 25 to 30. Haven't had more than about 33.
Did you say that this game is possibly televised in some way?
Yeah, it definitely definitely televised. But the thing is, this is the championship series. Whoever wins this game is going to go to the World Series to face the National League champion. And there are only 2 games, and there's one today. That's it. This is the only game today. So it's since it's on TV, it's in the evening. It's not an afternoon game.
Yep.
It's just there are fewer and fewer people join in and watch it here. But the few people that I do have, I'm grateful for. I don't know how many likes I have. Probably more than I have views. Let's see. Yeah, 41. People come in, check it out. Maybe they like, then they leave. So 32 people currently watching and 41 likes on the channel. Or on the live stream. That's good.
I can say to Angel that that's one reason whenever Australians go overseas, no matter where we go, except New Zealand, everywhere else is just a long way.
Yeah. But you don't speak Indonesian. Strangely enough. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier about how some people in Indonesia were assuming that he speaks Indonesian or Australians speak Indonesian because it's so close to Indonesia. It's like, what? And by that logic, you could say that English can speak French and French can speak English no
Mm,
problem because
yeah.
it's right there.
I should be able to speak the pidgin English of New Guinea, but definitely can't do that.
Well, heck, I mean, I know just bits and pieces of Old English, but if somebody were to speak straight up Old English, I'd have a really difficult time trying to understand what the heck they were saying. Commercial break is almost finished. We are back to Toronto, top of the ninth. Turn that down just a little bit. I think it's low enough for the mic not to pick up, so I don't have to worry about the copyright issue. Dominic Canzone is at the plate to lead it off. He's facing a new pitcher, Jeff Hoffman, on the mound for the Blue Jays. 1 ball, no strikes. Here comes the next toss. Grounded down the first base side, foul. Strike one, and the count's even. I noticed that Nintendo has paid a lot of money to put the Nintendo
Oh,
Switch
okay,
patch
yeah,
on
yeah.
everybody's jersey.
Yep.
It's been like this the whole, maybe even before the postseason.
They're basically the sponsor of the final series, so to speak.
Yeah, they've been doing this through the playoffs, but I think maybe even before that, they've
Mm.
been paying a lot of money for those sponsorships. 2 balls and one strike. Here comes the pitch. 97 right in there, and the count's even 2-2. 2-2. Schneider is still in the game in left field. This is bounced down the first base side. Guerrero is able to take it himself for out number one. Canzone is gone, and that brings up Victor Robles with J.P. Crawford on deck. If they can get through these two guys, they don't have to face the top of the batting order again. Ask Lynn, says Jay, if he ever fought a kangaroo.
Haven't had a fight with one because but I did used to have a pet kangaroo.
Pet kangaroo. How big did it get?
He was a monster.
Monster. Did he have like the big muscles and stuff, the
He,
guns?
yes.
Yes.
Basically,
Just
yes.
yes.
He was we figured he was 5'6", but
5'6".
without standing on his back legs, standing up on his back
Just
legs.
sitting kind of on
Yep.
his haunches.
Yep. Sitting back on his tail.
1-1 is the count to Robles. He's over 3 today. I've seen some of those famous images of the kangaroos online. They look like they just been in the gym every single day.
Yeah, that's Bruce. Well known as Bruce. Bruce
That's
the
hit over to
kangaroo.
the second baseman. He can't get it there in time. That's going to be an infield hit. What was going on there? A little lob hit over to the right side for Robles. Clement can't really get to it quickly. Just kind of a bloop shot. No chance to get him at first base. So the Mariners have a runner on first with 1 out for J.P. Crawford. If they don't get the double play here, they're going to have to face the top of the batting order. Nope, he goes over to first base. Tries to pick him off, but nothing doing. Hoffman back on the mound, waiting on the first pitch to Crawford. Here comes the first pitch to Crawford. Little high and outside, ball one. I remember when I went there for my mom's birthday, it was the year after she passed. Her dream was always to go to Australia and hold a koala. And I was told if you want to do that legally, you need to go to the Australia Zoo. So that's where I went.
It's very famous, Australia.
Oh yeah, all Americans know the crocodile hunter. It's sad what happened to him, but he has a big legacy there.
Mm.
Two balls and no strikes. One out, runner on first. Here comes a toss from Hoffman. Hasselhoffman fouls that one off. 2-1 is the count. Hasselhoffman. Do you know David Hasselhoff?
Mm.
Did you ever watch Knight Rider?
Yes.
It was
Yes.
popular in Australia.
Yeah, it was actually for a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can believe it. What about Hoffman singing?
He sang.
Ground ball to second base. He throws it over to first. No play at second. So Robles gets to second base. He was off and running on the steal, so there was no double play opportunity, and that will give a Rosarena a chance with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. There's always been these jokes. A long time ago when I used to watch Saturday Night Live, they had some guys on there that would make fun of Germany and say that Germans just love David Hasselhoff. It made it sound like his singing was really popular in Germany. Swing and a
Yes.
miss, big cut by Rosarena, 97 miles an hour, strike one. But
Just the name.
the funny thing is, I've asked a couple of German guys that do Germans really like David Hasselhoff, and they get really angry about that question. Swing and a miss, 88 miles an hour, strike two. Hoffman one strike away from getting out of this inning and moving into the bottom of the ninth for the Blue Jays to have their last opportunity to either tie the game up or walk it off. The crowd is on their feet, waving their towels around, trying to weave their magic, their Toronto Canadian magic. Let's see what Hasselhoffman does right here with the 0-2 pitch. Here it comes. Right in there, strike three, got him looking. He just stood there and took it. Hoffman slaps his chest like I'm the man. Good job. But Andres Munoz is due up for the Mariners in the bottom of the ninth. He will face Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Addison Barger, and Alejandro Kirk. But I would imagine that there's going to be some substitutions there. I expect to see Guerrero at the plate. But let me take a look at these other guys and their performance. I don't know. I mean, I know that Kirk is your main catcher, but right now, do you really want him at the plate? I don't. He's been garbage for like the past, well, the whole postseason, really. And even before that, he hasn't been doing anything. No Captain Kirk that I know. But we'll see. We'll see if they make some changes. Why is the roof closed when it's 14C, 57 degrees outside? You know what, Sydney? That's a good question. I don't know, but I do know this: Dyking Park has the roof that opens and closes, right? And sometimes hitters will come there, especially Boone and the Yankees. They will complain like crazy whenever the roof is open. They just use it as an excuse, in my opinion, when because they lose so much to the Astros. The Astros own the Yankees, so whenever they lose to the Astros, they always blame it on something. And I know that they blamed it on the roof being open before. So I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to make sure because of just to kind of control the weather a little bit, control the climate. And I don't know what the weather forecast is. I haven't looked at it, but maybe there was a possibility of some rain and they just didn't want the interference. I don't know. In short, I don't know, but I can speculate. Hey, Daryl, how's it going? Good to see you. All is doing okay here. How about you? I've got a guy here watching me. This is my parole officer. I'm out on bail. For some reason in Japan, they assigned me an Australian parole officer.
It's only a temporary thing. I'm only here for a few months.
He's just making sure that I walk the straight and narrow and I do my community service. And then after my time is done, he will be gone. Andres Munoz is squatted down on the mound doing his best big dumper impersonation. By the way, the catcher behind the plate right now, his name's Cal Raleigh. His nickname is the Big Dumper. There he is right there. It's kind of ironic, I think, that he spends most of his time in the game squatted down and they call him the Big Dumper. But he's hit 60 home runs in the regular season.
Okay. Yep.
It's the first time that a catcher has ever done that, and the first time that a switch hitter has ever done that. He bats left and right. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is at the plate, and that first pitch is outside for ball one. Andres Munoz has basically owned Guerrero. Guerrero's 0 for 7 against him, and that's a strike, 1-1. Daryl says another hot day in Houston, 91 degrees. I believe it. Weather's not bad today. The temperature dropped a couple of degrees from yesterday. So it's nice weather still out there, right?
Yeah, no, it was good this morning.
Foul ball, strike two, 1-2's the count. So the Blue Jays have 3 outs to get at least 2 runs. Are they going to be able to do it? Here's the toss. Ground ball to the left side should be an easy play for Crawford unless he makes a bad throw. Oh, that was spot on. Good for you. Out number 1. Sometimes I take digs at J.P. Crawford because he makes some errors, especially with his throwing. But a Mariners fanboy got kind of annoyed about that one day and started trying to correct me in the chat, saying, "Actually, Crawford is a really good shortstop." No, he's a good shortstop, but he's not really good. He does make some throwing errors. The very first pitch is hit out in the left center field and easily taken in by J-Rod. 2 up and 2 down just like that. The Blue Jays are down to their last out. And this crowd is very quiet. They got their hats on upside down looking for a rally. No shoes here. In Seattle, they put their shoe on their head for a rally. It started a while back and it worked. So after that, everybody started doing it. Captain Kirk is indeed at the plate. They're going to let him bat. Strike one in the top of the zone. Captain Alejandro Kirk of the Starship Blue Jay Prize. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, he did. That's strike 2. This is it for the Blue Jays. 2 outs, nobody on. Bottom of the 9th. Kirk is over 3 and about 0 for 1,000 in recent at bats. 1 strike away from losing game 1. He hits it straight up into the air, and that should be out number 3. Crawford is back, but it is a Rosarina that takes it in, and that's it. Munoz does his job, 3 up and 3 down, and the Mariners win this game. It started off good for the Blue Jays with that leadoff home run, but after that, they didn't do anything. Can you believe that the Mariners pitched a 2-hit game against the Blue Jays? That's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. If we look at the Lobsters that were left, 15 for the Mariners. The Mariners left 15 men on base. Only got 3 runs. The Blue Jays left 8 on base. They didn't have many guys on. But that's it. Cal Raleigh takes a big dump in Toronto. He got a home run earlier, so he did leave a dump. So you could say that game 1 is going to leave a foul smell in Toronto. Game 2 in Toronto will be tomorrow. That game, I believe, is a little bit earlier than today. I think tomorrow's game starts at 6 a.m. here, local time, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I appreciate you all joining today. We're going to wrap it up in just a minute, but we're going to check some information about tomorrow's game, and maybe I'll ask Glenn a couple of other silly questions. But let's see, MLB schedule. Mariners are now leading this series 1-0. The 14th is right there. Yeah, 6:03 a.m. So tomorrow's game will actually be much earlier than today's game. And then the Dodgers are going to play the Brewers in game number 1 of the NLCS. at 9 o'clock a.m. Japan time, but I will not be doing that game. I'll just be doing the American League games and then the World Series. And of course, for those of you who follow the Texans, you know that they're not playing until Monday Night Football next week. So they're not playing this weekend. And the Rockets don't start until about the 20th. Is that right? Against the Hawk? Not the Hawk. Or it is the Hawks. The 17th. My bad. 4 days from now. That's right. Okay. Friday for me, Saturday for the people in the US. But Rockets are looking pretty good so far, so I'm looking forward to doing their games. If I'm able to do that game, I will let you know. But I still have to get my scoreboard set up. Still got some work to do on it, but I will let you know. And let's see here. Where's the Let me open that up a little bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's a little bigger, a little better. And the current subscriber count is right in the middle of the screen. Maybe I can move this up. There we go. That's better. Boom. There we go. Okay, so that's the final score today. The Mariners win 3-1, and I'll be back tomorrow for game two. It's about 3 hours earlier, I believe, than it was today. Today was at 9 o'clock. Um, it See, this game went basically 3 hours, or
Yeah.
about 3 hours, which is standard. 15 innings is an anomaly. That never happens. It would happen, right?
Yeah.
The other day. But
That's right. I had lots to look at. It was all right.
did you
While I was
actually
waiting.
did you actually buy anything or get anything to
No,
eat
I
or
just
drink?
went for a walk around a part of the festival. So,
Was it a walkabout?
kind of. Yeah.
Gotcha. I do have to ask you one question because I think it'd be something that would be interesting for people to know. What do you think of Paul Hogan?
Paul Hogan, he was a legend in his time at
Mm,
the because he was partnered with Strop, and they
mm.
were a comedy duo that were just loved in Australia. Now, I don't know what he did in the US,
It
but
was He was mainly known for Crocodile Dundee,
yeah,
the
so
films.
Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2.
Yep,
Yeah, look, he was very down to
mm,
earth. In
yep.
fact, all of that crew from
Mm,
that comedy period, yeah, they were all just the way Aussies are, and that's
mm.
why they were just so loved and stuff like that.
So
So yeah.
maybe his comedy career is what got him into the Crocodile Dundee
Oh,
role.
absolutely.
Mm.
Because remember, he started off as a painter on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Really?
Yeah, that was what he was doing when he got stand-up comedy and ended up on television with Strop. Strop was actually his manager
Okay.
and the brains behind it all, and that's
Did
where
he start off
Crocodile fit in.
solo, or did he start off as, like, with another guy, like
I think
a
he really,
duo?
really early days he was solo, but very quickly Strop was his best mate, and yeah, and, in amongst that was Delvine Delaney, and one of them was Strop was married to Delvine, and they all just very, very famous in the
Mm,
end, and yeah, no,
okay,
he's very much a very much loved um, comedy figure in Australia.
gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
interesting because I remember a long time ago whenever he got popular in the Crocodile Dundee movies, I think maybe by the time the second one came out, somebody tried to tell me, and this is when I was still in the US, somebody tried to tell me, over in Australia, he's just a joke to Australians because, we think that he's just, this movie star guy and he
yeah,
represents Australia. Because, in the movie, he plays your stereotypical outback type guy, right?
yep,
And
right.
and it's hilarious. It's a great movie. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's
He
popular
he
for a
is not
reason.
actually known
Mm,
for his movies. He is known for his comedy series on television
okay.
and his stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
funny thing is in the movie, he's very kinda dry
yeah.
and straightforward and
Right.
stuff. He doesn't fit that persona at all to us.
Mm, mm.
But, of course, the movie is a comedy,
Yep.
but he's not the silly guy in the movie.
No, no.
I mean, he says some funny things, but he's not trying to be funny with the lines. It's just the character, you know?
It's a character, and
Mm,
if you travel outback Australia, you do meet characters and that's where he got a lot of his inspiration
yeah.
from real people in outback Australia
Well, that's
at
the
the
funny
time.
thing. Back then, that was before internet. and before I didn't have any connection or Australian friends to talk to, so,
Mm.
I had people say to me that, there was also a band, it was kinda similar, the band Silverchair.
Oh, yeah.
Silverchair became very famous internationally,
Yep.
and of
Yep.
course, they're from Australia,
Yep.
for those of you who don't know that. But, anyway, I had some people say similar things about them that they said about him, which is like, "Oh, he went into movies in America and all that kinda stuff because he wasn't doing well in Australia, and Australians don't like him."
He
And
was
I had no way of knowing whether
uh,
that was true or not.
hugely famous
But
and
you're like
absolutely
the 3rd
loved.
Australian to tell
Yeah.
me the exact same thing, and
Yeah.
which is why I think it's interesting to ask that question because
Yeah.
a lot of Americans have no idea about his background.
Yeah. Yeah. It started off as a painter on the
Mm,
Sydney Harbour Bridge and got his chance in comedy and
mm,
right people around him and took him all the way to a
mm,
very popular and much loved television series of comedy,
mm.
doing all of his own skits and stuff like that. And then came along the movies. And yeah, he won the Australian versions of popular television
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
He also did a
absolutely.
lot of I don't you might know this or might not, I don't know, but he did a lot of Australian tourism
Yes,
videos and
yes,
advertisements.
yes,
So
yes.
he was the face
Yeah,
of
and that
"Come
was
to
something where
Australia."
we used to always sit back and say, "What's he talking about?" Because the
Mm.
line was, "Put another shrimp on the barbie."
Yeah, that's right. "We'll put another
We
shrimp on the barbie for you."
yeah, we don't call them shrimp. And so for us, it was like, "What's he talking about?"
Right. Well,
So
that's catering to the American audience, I guess you could say, or catering to the foreign audience. Because, yeah, some of that lingo will be like, "What is that?"
Mm.
We
Oh,
know
yeah,
we
yeah.
know what a Barbie is. We know what that
Well,
is. We
yeah,
can figure that out.
once you start, getting into Australian language, it's,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we speak a different language.
Yeah, every once in a while, it's even with, when I'm talking with a Brit, there are some occasional things like that where they have one word that's a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
over time, I've picked up a lot of vocabulary because living abroad, I've met a lot of people,
Mm.
but occasionally they'll drop a word or something, and I
Yep.
can't guess what it is from the context, you
Yep.
know? But most of the time, I don't have any
Yeah.
problems figuring out
Yeah.
what's being said, but yeah, slight vocabulary differences.
Yeah, Australians are very good
Hmm.
at that. We're confusing everybody with what we say.
Yeah, let's see here. Let me take a quick look at the live chat, see what we've got going. Um, Sydney says, "Thanks for the broadcast. Better bats next time, Jays." Yes, I hope so. Jay says, "The soy must flow." One of my subscribers coined the term to me, "soyaddle," because in the seventh inning the other day, they were down by one. They tied up the game. Now, keep in mind, the game was not over, and they just tied it up. And
Mhm.
there were guys in the crowd crying from that. And I'm like, okay, if your team has never won, in the playoffs and had never gone to the World Series, and they win, and you go to the World Series, and you're crying in the stands, I can almost accept that if you're a man. I can almost accept that. I still don't really accept it because you still haven't won the World Series.
Mm.
If your team wins the World Series and you're like 60 years old and your team has never been to the World Series and you've been waiting your whole life, and then they finally win, then you can cry. I kind of feel like that's okay. But in a in an early playoff game and in the
Yeah.
7th inning and you just tie it up and you're already crying. A lot of Seattle fans were doing that, so we started calling them Soyaddle. But, Sydney, I know what you're talking about. Sydney, if you're still there, I know you're talking about the ball strikes and outs counter, but that's something that's completely out of my hand because the 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 video stream that I have, I can't make that be more live than it is. That's not up to me. The other thing is the the score, the live score, it comes from what's called an API. If you know what an API is, it's just a connection to the MLB website, and it pulls all of the game data, and it pulls it as it's updated as soon as MLB updates it. So if MLB updates it late, which they often do, then sometimes you'll see something like let me show you an example. Let me Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, if you look over here on the right side, you see where it says batting? Alejandro Kirk is batting. Now, sometimes right now it could show the next batter on screen. So the next batter is actually at the plate batting, but it's still showing Alejandro Kirk's information on the screen. So it's behind. It doesn't update on time. And sometimes, like you said, it updates early. And I wish I could control that so that it's closer. But to be honest, here in the postseason, it has been opposite. It has been early. The information has been showing before I can actually relay it to you. The only way that I can really get around that is trying to do some finagling on my end, but it would take a lot of effort to try to figure out. And even if I did do that, if the information starts coming in late again, then I would have to change all of that. So there's no way for me to know when MLB is going to update it and how it's going to coincide with the actual game. So long story short, it's kind of out of my hands. But if I were you, just do what I do. Just don't look at it. You know, maybe after I call it, then you can look at it. If you're wanting to know what the count is, I would recommend looking early, uh, much earlier, so that if the count is full and you're a little nervous about what the next pitch is going to be, don't wait too long to look at it because maybe when you look, you'll see that it's already a third out and there was a third strike called. That's the best I can do for you, but I wish I could do better, but it is what it is. Like I said, during the season, there are many games going on, and so the API is much slower, and there's usually a delay. But right now, today, there's only one game, just one game. So I think that's probably why the information is updating quickly because it's prioritized and there are no other games going on. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone else listening in. All of the likes, the new subscribers, and the super chat that I got today. I think Rusty Gamer dropped me a super chat earlier. Yes, that's right, Rusty. Thank you so much for your super chat. And Sydney, I hope to see you back tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Everyone else, see you tomorrow. I think Glenn and I are going to jump off, maybe get some lunch or maybe a
Mm,
snack or something,
yeah, soon,
and
soon.
then
You haven't eaten yet.
yeah,
So.
I had Pop Tarts from Angel this morning, and like a half a bowl of cereal. That was pretty much it. So I probably cook a couple of eggs and a little bit of bacon. Rusty says, doesn't the video feed go from the stadium to MLB to Fox and out to the streaming service across the internet to you? I'm surprised there isn't more delay. Well, Rusty, for some reason, I think I know why, but for some reason, I get my feed typically. Okay, now typically, I get my feed faster than you guys are getting it in the U.S. And I think the reason why is because there are so many different affiliates, and this is why you have many different blackouts in America. Even if you live in Houston, for example, you can't see all of Houston's games with just one connection. Like if you have cable, maybe you can see many of the regular season games, but some of the games are blacked out. Maybe the playoff games are blacked out, etc. Why is that? That's because in America, there's so many different markets and so many different agreements. Some people have the rights while others don't. And so your local carrier that you're paying for might not have the rights to those particular games. And if that happens, your only choice is to vomit more money. And that's why a lot of people come here. You probably already know that. But a lot of my subscribers come here for not just Astros games, but for other games. Like I've had Rangers fans tell me, I'm in Texas, and if they don't sell a certain number of tickets for the game, then they won't show the game. It'll be blacked out locally. You're going to have to pay extra in order to see the games of your own local team. It's crazy, but it's so mixed up and complicated in America that that's the situation there. However, in Japan, it's different. There aren't competing markets for the MLB games. It's just one. So when I pay for the subscription to watch the MLB games, whether I pay through uh, one service or another service doesn't matter because they're coming through the same provider, and there's less, I guess you could say, tunneling, less infrastructure for the game to go through. So sometimes I'm actually told very often throughout the year that my broadcasts are ahead of the live game in America. And it's kind of crazy, but that's just the way it works. It doesn't make a lot of sense until you start digging into it and trying to figure it out. But on my live stream, I think there's about a 5 second delay. So even when I go live, I can choose whether to have a very short, almost no delay, or a medium delay, or a longer delay. Now, the benefit of having a longer delay is that there's less lag and the quality is a little better. But it means that there's a long delay between maybe 15 seconds between the things that I put on screen and the things that I say and the clips that I show and when you actually see it. So there's a long lag. I choose the middle option. And if you're wondering why I don't choose the fast option, it's just because of quality of connection. I use the Starlink setup here in the countryside. It's good, but it's not great. If I were in the city and using the fiber optic cable connection, then I would definitely use the fastest connection so that I could give you guys the absolute fastest possible feed. So I could speed up my feed a little bit and maybe it would more closely match the API on the screen. But unfortunately, being out here in the countryside and using the Starlink connection, I think that there would just be too many times where you would see lag and you would see the little circle on the screen as it's trying to, catch up or whatever. So I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Look, often in a home country or a home state, this is in Australia, there could be anything up to a 20-second delay. So if
Yep.
you're actually listening or watching it on a television, you'll actually see it happen and then look at the television and see it again.
Yep.
That's very normal in Australia. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of local delay
Yep.
and you're not getting it because you're not local.
Yeah. And that's actually been the benefit for those of you who don't know this. Um, NBA games, MLB games, NFL games. These I can pay for packages to watch. They don't have any college game packages in Japan because it's not popular enough and in demand enough for them to have anything here. But you can only get these packages through basically one channel. And so there is no competition here. And no games are blacked out. None are blacked out. So every single game that's available from the beginning of the year all the way through the end, they're all available here in Japan. And as long as I pay for the subscription, I can see 100% of all the games. I never get blacked out on any games. Never happens because there's no market to compete with here. Mr. Page says, thanks, go. See you next time. Thank you, Mr. Page. I'm glad to see you came back. Rusty, a lot of sense. Okay, good. I I I know it's a lot to understand or to try to explain or get your head around, but that's the way it is. Um, you know, I I've had to explain it a few times because I do get some of the same questions repeatedly from subscribers, but I never get tired of answering your questions. So if you're ever wondering about anything at all, like I've said before, if you see something on the screen that doesn't make any sense or you want to ask about something, just ask in the chat and I'll do my best to get to it. But that's all for now. We're gonna jump off of here. I'm gonna grab a little kind of a lunch snack, and Glenn and I are probably gonna do some stuff around the house. And thank you all for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. And until then,
Delay.
is there a special way to say goodbye or see you tomorrow in Australia?
No. Catch you later.
Catch you later. Okay.
Yeah.
Catch you later then. Bye bye.